Chapter 21. Ling Feng drove all the way and arrived at Jiutian Hotel in more than 10 minutes. Jiutian Hotel is an old small hotel. As soon as Ling Feng entered the hotel, he saw the damp ground and the pungent musty smell in the air. He went directly to the third floor and walked to the door of room 305. The door of the room was ajar. Pushing the door in, the smell of smoke in the air and the smell of mold on the wall mixed together to stimulate his sense of smell. Wang Long held a cigarette in his hand. His face was full of stubble, his hair was greasy and messy, and he lay decadently on the bed. He was completely without the vigor and vitality of the past. "Here we come." Wang Long's voice was weak and listless. "Let's go." Ling Feng made a hook gesture towards him. The tacit understanding between brothers does not need to be said. One word is enough. The two came to a restaurant they often visited. Although this restaurant is small, the taste is really good. The two often come here to drink. As soon as the two sat down, the boss came over to greet them enthusiastically. "It's been a while since you two came. Lao Zhang, how's your business lately?" Ling Feng also chatted with the boss in a familiar manner. "Hey, it's so," Lao Zhang said with a happy face. No matter when Ling Feng came, Lao Zhang always had a smile on his face and a very good attitude. Ling Feng chatted with him for a few homely words and ordered a cucumber, a hand-torn chicken, a clay pot chicken, a roasted lamb, a garlic fried fish, and a big banquet stir-fry. These dishes are all specialties of the restaurant, and finally asked for 2 boxes of beer. Lao Zhang took the menu and went to the kitchen in a hurry. After a while, the dishes and wine ordered by Ling Feng came up one after another. The two of them took a bottle of wine each and started drinking. Wang Long didn't say anything, just lowered his head to drink, and Ling Feng didn't ask, just accompanied him silently. After drinking 6 bottles of beer in a row, Wang Long finally spoke slowly. He told Ling Feng all about his family's experience. "Fengzi, I have nothing now, and my father has left me." Wang Long's eyes were red, and his face was full of sadness. "Kaichong, you still have me. In the future, I will accompany you. It's no big deal to make money if you lose it, and everything must be looked forward to." Wang Long pursed his lips, nodded heavily, and drank the wine in the bottle. Everything was self-evident. The two drank from noon to evening, and by the end of the meal, they had finished 8 boxes of beer. Ling Feng put the drunk Wang Long on the back seat of the Hummer. Strangely enough, Ling Feng didn't feel drunk at all after drinking so much. Usually, his alcohol tolerance was not as good as Wang Long's, which might be related to his body transformation. Ling Feng drove him back to his villa and found a room and threw him on the bed. The little black dog outside the door looked at the strange man Ling Feng brought back with a face full of curiosity. After more than 2 months of careful feeding by Ling Feng, the little black dog has grown several times bigger, and his whole body is round and feels very comfortable to touch. Ling Feng also gave him a name, Black Panther. Ling Feng touched Black Panther's head, and then came to the gravity room on the underground floor. After the villa was inspected, he had not had time to feel the effect of the gravity room. "It happened that I had nothing to do tonight, so I tried to train in the gravity room. The entire gravity room can increase the gravity inside by up to 500 times. This equipment was customized by Ling Feng at a high price. Conventional gravity rooms can only increase the gravity by 50 times at most. In order to meet his own requirements, he spent a full 20 million to customize this equipment. The entire equipment is independent and can be moved at will." Ling Feng moved his mind and put the entire gravity room into the system space for upgrading. A few seconds later, the gravity room was moved out of the space and put back in place. Ling Feng observed the upgraded gravity room. From the appearance, it was full of science fiction. The original titanium alloy material was already hard enough, and now it is even stronger. The space has doubled, and now it is about 50 square meters. Fortunately, the space in his basement is large enough to easily put down the equipment that has doubled. Ling Feng walked to the operation panel of the gravity room and checked the equipment parameters. The gravity can now be increased to 5,000 times, and it is also equipped with an intelligent voice system. As long as the command is issued, the gravity in the gravity room can be adjusted, which is more convenient. "Increase gravity by 20 times. Ling Feng issued a command. He did not adjust the data too high for the first use, and he had to give his body a process of adaptation. 2 seconds after the command was issued, Ling Feng, who was standing normally, suddenly felt a double pressure. It felt like carrying a 1,000-pound weight on his back, but he slowly moved forward, and he could still accept the pressure. After a few minutes of adaptation, he gradually adapted to this state. Ling Feng began to do some simple strength training. Push-ups. The ordinary push-ups were a bit strenuous under the blessing of gravity. He gradually felt exhausted after doing less than 100. His hands shook uncontrollably, and beads of sweat kept sliding down his forehead until his hands were completely exhausted. Then Ling Feng began to train his leg muscles. Squat jump. The body jumped up at the moment of standing up from a squat. This action is a compound action that can train the explosive power of the legs while taking into account the training of cardiopulmonary capacity. After doing 200 squat jumps, the legs reached exhaustion again. In just 20 minutes of training, Ling Feng has reached the training limit of his body. However, Ling Feng did not end the training and still insisted on doing squat jumps. If you want to break through the limit, You must persist in this extreme state to achieve the biggest breakthrough. Ling Feng gritted his teeth and persisted, and increased the pressure of the entire gravity room 5 times again. The heavy pressure plus the limit of the body made Ling Feng's movements extremely slow. The whole back was gradually bent down by the pressure. Ah! He gritted his teeth and roared, struggling to straighten his back, and his legs kept shaking. Just when Ling Feng felt that his body was about to crack, he felt that his body gradually recovered strength, and there seemed to be a force in his body slowly flowing to his limbs. The originally trembling legs instantly recovered strength, and the 25 times gravity was not so uncomfortable. Ling Feng looked at the time. He stayed in the gravity room for a whole hour. He restored the gravity to normal, and his whole body instantly felt light. Ling Feng felt like he was about to fly, but he knew that this was just an illusion caused by the reduction of gravity. Ling Feng was quite satisfied with the training this time, perhaps because the effect was better for the first time. 1 hour of training was equivalent to the effect of 1 month before. His current physical fitness should have reached about 25 times that of an ordinary person. After finishing the training, Ling Feng took a simple shower in the training room. For convenience, he also built a bathing room in the basement, which also had a sauna room to satisfy his relaxation after training. Chapter 22. After training, Ling Feng returned to the bedroom and saw Wang Long, who had woken up. After a drink of wine, he looked much better. There was no more gloom in his eyes. "Fengzi, why did you decorate your house like this?" Wang Long knocked on the wall of the room, making a heavy sound. As a special forces soldier, he obviously knew something about these materials. "Your house can't be blown up by missiles. Do you have enemies?" Wang Long looked at him with a puzzled look. Ling Feng smiled and shook his head, throwing a cigarette in his hand over. "Let's take you to a place." He turned and walked downstairs. "Where are you going?" So mysterious. Although Wang Long looked puzzled, he still followed Ling Feng's pace. Ling Feng took Wang Long to a villa next to his villa. "Why did you bring me here?" Wang Long slowly exhaled a puff of cigarette and looked at Ling Feng in confusion. "Let's talk about it after we go in." He opened the door of the villa. Walking into the villa, the decoration style of the whole villa is the same as Ling Feng's villa. 2 months ago, Ling Feng bought this villa and asked Huaqiang Security to build a similar safe house, but the security level of this safe house is not as high as Ling Feng's. The main reason is that there is not enough time. After the materials from Huaqiang Security were used to build his own villa, there was not enough to build another villa. Ling Feng could only ask Huaqiang Security to build a safe house with a slightly lower protection level. Although this villa is not as strong as Ling Feng's villa, it is also a top-level safe house, enough to withstand the attack of small missiles. It is also enough for the end of the world, except that the protection level of the whole villa is slightly lower than Ling Feng's. All other supporting facilities are the same as his own villa. Ling Feng handed a bunch of keys to Wang Long. "You will live here in the future." Wang Long hesitated and did not take the key. "Are you a brother? Why are you being so polite to me?" Ling Feng pretended to be angry. Wang Long's eyes were a little wet. This time, he took the key without hesitation and clenched the key tightly. Wang Long couldn't help but sigh that a friend in need is a friend indeed. He boasted that he had many friends and could call more than a dozen people when he went out for a drink. But when they knew that his family was bankrupt, they avoided him like a plague god, and some even took advantage of his misfortune. There was sarcasm in their words. At that moment, Wang Long realized how ridiculous his so-called friends were. When he was really down and out, only his good brother Fengzi would help him unconditionally. Ling Feng took Wang Long to familiarize himself with the structure of the entire villa and the use of many equipment. As Wang Long's only good brother in this world, he couldn't stand idly by when the end of the world came. So he bought this villa and built a safe house for Wang Long so that he could have a place to stay when the end of the world came. After an hour of explanation, Wang Long also mastered the use of various facilities in the villa. "Fengzi, building such a safe house is worth a lot of money. Why did you think of building such an iron turtle?" "Kai Chong, do you believe me or not?" Ling Feng looked at Wang Long seriously. "Of course, we are brothers who have shared life and death. I don't believe anyone but you." Wang Long also answered very seriously. "Okay, then I tell you, otherwise the world environment will change drastically. I do all this to protect myself. This matter must be kept secret. Don't leak it, otherwise there will be unnecessary trouble." Wang Long heard Ling Feng talking to him in such a serious tone for the first time, and knew that Ling Feng was not joking with him. Nodding solemnly, "Don't worry, no third person will know about this. Well, stay in Shanjing City during this period. Don't run around anymore." Ling Feng arranged for Wang Long to stay in the villa next door. Although he revealed a little news about the end of the world, he did not tell him the detailed reasons. This is also for the sake of safety, to prevent any unexpected situation from happening. Arrangements for Wang Long. "My preparations before the end of the world are basically completed, and now there is only one thing left. Tian'an Warehouse Center." Days passed day by day, and there were still 5 days before the end of the world. During this period, Ling Feng's daily work was to study the security and material reserves of the Tian'an Warehouse Center. In order to ensure that the action was foolproof, Ling Feng deliberately disguised himself and did a few-day porter. After a few days of observation, He has a detailed understanding of the layout and security measures of the entire storage center. The entire storage center is divided into 6 major areas. The materials stored in each area are basically different. Ling Feng's target this time is mainly 4 of them. The storage is mainly food and daily necessities. These materials cover all aspects of daily life and are worth tens of billions. The management of the entire storage center is very strict, and the security guards patrol 24 hours a day. At the same time, the monitoring is installed very densely, and basically there is no blind spot monitoring. It can be said that it is still difficult to make some small moves here. However, Ling Feng still found some loopholes from it. After his investigation, the frequency of security patrols is about 1 trip per hour. This time is enough to complete the work of collecting materials. The second is the problem of monitoring. There are people on duty in the monitoring room 24 hours a day. As long as the monitoring is cut off and the people in the monitoring room are controlled, the monitoring problem can be solved. Ling Feng rehearsed his plan in his mind countless times to make sure there is no problem before preparing to act. Today is the day of formal action. At 2 a.m., Ling Feng rode an electric bike wearing a rider's suit, a mask, and a helmet to the gate of the storage center. This time was just when they had just finished their shift. Several security guards in the security room were playing cards around a table, and behind them was a huge LED screen. The screen showed surveillance pictures one by one. Ling Feng knocked on the window and gestured to the takeaway in his hand. When the security guards who were playing cards saw the takeaway coming, they immediately became ferocious. Sure enough, the relationship between the security guards and the takeaway was like fire and water. "You are not allowed to enter here," one of the fat security guards said viciously. "Brother, this is the takeaway ordered by someone else for you." He said that it was a tenant inside. Seeing that you were working hard on the night shift, he specially ordered water and supper for you. The fat security guard's expression eased when he heard this, and he walked to the window and took the takeaway in. He said impatiently, "Okay, I know." Then he closed the window. Ling Feng rode his electric bike to the corner and watched the security guards in the security room from a distance. The fat security guard just opened the takeaway box without any hesitation. In order to let the security guards eat well, he prepared more than a dozen dishes, all of which were expensive and hard dishes. These were the feasts he had ordered in the restaurant before, and the taste was amazing. For these security guards, most of these dishes were only heard of but never eaten. Looking at the few people eating the feast with relish, Ling Feng smiled. Chapter 23. In order to make the security guards behave, Ling Feng specially added sleeping pills to the food. In less than 10 minutes, several security guards fell asleep and lay on the ground in all directions. Seeing that the security guards had been dealt with, Ling Feng took out something similar to a mobile phone from the space. This thing is called a jammer, which he bought online specifically. After using it, it can cut off the network signal within a radius of 1 kilometer. At the same time, it also affects monitoring equipment, which can interfere with signal transmission and stop monitoring. In order to enhance the work effect, he also specially upgraded the equipment. Ling Feng controlled the screen to turn on the interference. The monitoring screen in the security room in the distance instantly turned into a snowflake. Ling Feng was delighted. It really worked. "Let's get started." He quickly turned over and jumped into the park. He came to the nearest area with ease. Ling Feng remembered the main food area of the materials in this area. Looking at the rows of factory buildings, he calmed down his excitement. He quickly walked to the door of a warehouse and broke the door lock with great force. Entering the warehouse, a warehouse with an area of hundreds of square meters was full of beverages. It seemed to be a warehouse of a beverage wholesaler. Ling Feng didn't care about anything and put all the cola, Sprite, iced black tea into his own space. It turned on the extreme speed of its body and quickly collected the supplies. In less than 10 seconds, all the supplies were collected. Then he went to the next warehouse without stopping. The second warehouse was much larger, more than 2,000 square meters, and the types of supplies were mainly snacks. Thousands of boxes of instant noodles, candied fruits, puff foods, biscuits, preserved fruits, candies, etc. were complete. Ling Feng also accepted them all without hesitation. Then the third warehouse, the fourth, he collected supplies frantically, and soon all the supplies in the food area were collected by him. I have to say that this feeling of buying for 0 yuan is really good. Ling Feng felt no guilt for these supplies. Even if he didn't take them, they would be taken away by the upper class before the end of the world. Then he came to the clothing and department store area. There were all kinds of daily necessities, bedding, various types of clothing, etc., which were more complete than what he bought himself. Some supplies that Ling Feng hadn't considered were all available here. Take them all. Then it was the home area. All kinds of furniture, home appliances, computers, tablets, and gaming equipment were all available. Start sweeping. In less than half an hour, all the supplies in the 4 areas were collected by Ling Feng. He took out his mobile phone and checked it. The time was almost up, and then he left the crime scene swiftly. After leaving the park, Ling Feng ran another 2 kilometers. During this period, the jammer was turned on all the time, and all the surveillance along the way failed. Then he took out his big Hummer from the space and left in style. To ensure safety, he took a detour before driving towards home. The jammer was turned on throughout the process and was not turned off until he was near home. During the entire operation, he wore gloves, a hat, a mask, and popular shoes, leaving no clues at the scene. Even when he delivered the quick sale to the security guard, he disguised himself as a hunchbacked lame man and deliberately changed his voice. With such a careful plan, it is difficult to find out about himself. After returning home, Ling Feng took a beautiful bath, lay down on the soft bed, checked the supplies in this space, and fell asleep with a smile. Ling Feng, who was sleeping leisurely, had no idea that his actions today had completely shocked the world. Less than 10 minutes after Ling Feng left the storage center, the patrolling security guards saw the damaged warehouse doors when they patrolled the first area. The warehouse was empty, and all the supplies were missing. The two patrolling security guards turned pale with fear. "It's over, it's all over now." Then they trembled and called the police. After receiving the report, the police officer rushed to the scene to investigate immediately. After investigation, the whole case could be described as weird. According to the security regulations of the entire storage center, the security guards will complete a patrol every half an hour, which means that the suspect must complete the crime in half an hour. According to the materials lost at the scene, such a huge amount of materials cannot be loaded in a day even if hundreds of people quickly load the truck. Half an hour is obviously impossible, and there is no trace left at the scene, and the surveillance is all out of order during this time period. Not only the entire storage center, but also the surveillance within a few kilometers of the storage center is all out of order. The police handling the case, the police officer's eyebrows were almost wrinkled together, and he couldn't imagine how the suspect could do all this. The loss of materials worth tens of billions will inevitably cause a great sensation. The police officer had no choice but to report it to his superior. This case was too bizarre, and the amount was huge. It was no longer something that a small police officer could handle. Ling Feng slept until 10 o'clock the next day before getting up. It was not because he was tired. In fact, he had woken up a long time ago, but just didn't want to get up. He kept lying in bed and watching videos. Now all his preparations have been completed. Next, he just has to wait for the end of the world to come. The news of the theft of materials worth tens of billions at Tian'an Warehouse Center in Shangjing City on the short video platform instantly became a hot search. Major media reported positively on the platform, and some media with faster reactions rushed directly to the warehouse center for live broadcast. The number of online viewers once exceeded 1 million. Of course, the bizarreness of this case is even more shocking, and many netizens have used their smart brains to analyze the entire case. Some people said that it was the security guard who stole the money. Some said that it was an alien invasion, and some said that the suspect had superpowers. There were many different opinions, and the case became more and more popular. It rushed to the top of the hot search list in a few hours. Ling Feng turned off his mobile phone and prepared to go downstairs to have breakfast outside the villa area. As soon as he walked to the gate of the community, he ran into Lin Su unexpectedly. Lin Su was dressed casually today, with no makeup on and a hint of youthfulness. What a coincidence! Lin Su took the initiative to greet him. Yes, what a coincidence. The two chatted for a few words. Lin Su was off work today and was about to go to breakfast. The two were just on the way. Then they went to the breakfast shop together. Ling Feng ordered a steamed bun, a bowl of wontons, and a bowl of porridge, while Lin Su only ordered a bowl of lean meat porridge. The two chatted casually while eating breakfast. "By the way, you said last time that it's best to store some food. Do you know anything?" Ling Feng, who was eating wontons, paused and became alert, but his expression remained unchanged. "Why do you say that?" Ling Feng ate wontons and spoke casually. For a woman like Lin Su, who was a lawyer, he must be cautious. Lawyers are more delicate and observant. Although he didn't know what she meant by asking this question, he had to be on guard. Chapter 24. I'm just guessing. There's been a shortage of supplies in the market recently, and many daily supplies are out of stock. It is said that this situation will never happen in this season. Someone should have done it deliberately, but the official has not come forward. I suddenly thought of what you said before. I felt something strange, and a storm was coming. So I asked. Lin Su spoke her opinion in a calm tone. After listening to her analysis, Ling Feng silently praised her in his heart. It must be said that her thinking and analytical ability are quite strong. She can see the truth behind the matter with just a little clue. I just heard from a friend that the current situation is unclear, so I said it in advance. It's better to be prepared, isn't it? Ling Feng looked at the shockingly smart woman opposite him and didn't dare to reveal more information. But with her brain, she can also analyze a general idea based on this information. Lin Su nodded thoughtfully. After breakfast, the two of them separated. After finishing breakfast, Ling Feng packed a portion for Wang Long to take back. He planned to stay in the training room to improve his physical fitness. No one could predict what would happen after the end of the world. The stronger one's strength was, the more self-protection one would have. After finishing her meal, Lin Su originally planned to rest at home for a day, but Ling Feng's words changed her mind. As soon as she got home, she called Yang Zihan. Yang Zihan's voice was unclear on the other end of the phone, and it seemed that she had not woken up yet. "Su, why are you calling so early in the morning?" Lin Su was speechless. "It's almost 10 o'clock. It's still early." Then she told her about the conversation with Ling Feng and invited her to go to the supermarket to stock up some supplies. Yang Zihan's voice was full of disbelief after hearing her words. "I don't believe what that bastard said. He's just out of his mind. A few days ago, I heard from my neighbor that he was building a safe house. Isn't that what a fool would do? Su, don't listen to his nonsense." Yang Zihan belittled Ling Feng on the phone. It was this bastard who dared to reject her pursuit. This dealt a serious blow to her self-esteem. She has good looks and family background. People chasing her can line up for 2 miles. Who does he think he is? Bah! Who in her own fish pond is not better than him? Lin Su listened to Yang Zihan's complaints about Ling Feng and felt a little unhappy in her heart. He is not as bad as you say. Her tone was a little flat. If you don't want to go, forget it. After the two talked for a few words, Yang Zihan said that she still had to sleep and then hung up the phone. Lin Su shook her head helplessly, but she was convinced of her own judgment. She had been an orphan since she was a child, and she had nothing to rely on now. She relied on her own judgment. She would not change her opinion because of a few casual words from others. Then she drove to purchase supplies very neatly. Just in case, she purchased enough food and daily necessities for her to use for 2 months. August 1st, 2098 in the lunar calendar. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Ling Feng, who was sleeping, felt a cold wind constantly attacking him. He opened his eyes, sat up and walked to the window. The sun, which was supposed to rise, did not rise on time. Ling Feng looked at the thermometer in the room. -30 degrees Celsius. It started. Ling Feng looked at the foggy sky in the distance. Only he knew what this meant. The end of the world came on time like the previous life. It is just the beginning now. The temperature will drop to -40 degrees in an hour. Then there will be heavy snow for several months. The temperature will drop to -60 degrees in 12 hours. That's when the real end of the world will come. Ling Feng walked out of the villa, came to the villa next door, where Wang Long lived, and knocked on his door. Wang Long shivered and opened the door. The moment he opened the door, a cold wind rushed straight into his body, making his entire neck shrink in his clothes. After Ling Feng walked in, Wang Long quickly closed the door. Fuck, what kind of weather is this? It's colder in the summer than in the winter. This is just the beginning. It will get colder and colder in the future. Ling Feng sat casually on the sofa and lit a cigarette. What? Colder? How can we live in the future? Wang Long had a sad face, and the cold weather made his nose run. Ling Feng pointed to the fireplace in the living room. What are you afraid of with him here? This house has been specially modified to prevent 95% of heat loss. I know that too. I don't have any firewood. I can't burn the furniture. Who said there is no firewood? The basement is ready for you. He took Wang Long to the basement. As soon as he entered the basement, Wang Long was stunned. The entire basement was full of supplies, and firewood took up 1/3 of the space. The rest of the space was filled with food, water, and some daily necessities. There were even 5 barrels of diesel. These supplies were enough for one person to use for 3 or 4 months. Fengzi, when did you put these supplies for me? Yesterday. And this, said Ling Feng, and handed over a pistol and a few boxes of bullets. Wang Long looked at Ling Feng in shock. He was getting more and more confused about his buddy. No, where did you get this thing? It's just a cold wave. We don't need to take a gun. It's like the end of the world. Ling Feng looked at him seriously and said, this is the end of the world. Gamma ray bursts hit the earth, and humans will usher in the 5th ice age. This state may last for hundreds of years. Don't you think it's the end of the world? Wang Long was stunned on the spot, a little bit unbelieving Ling Feng's words, and then suddenly seemed to think of something. Did you know that there would be such a day? So you made so many preparations? Ling Feng nodded slightly, and then continued. In the end of the world, don't trust anyone, and put away your kindness. Then Ling Feng told Wang Long some precautions in the end of the world. The most terrifying thing in the end of the world is not extreme weather, but people. Don't trust anyone easily, no matter if he is old, weak, sick, or disabled. Only enough caution can survive in the end of the world. After explaining Wang Long, he hurried back home. At this time, snowflakes were already falling outside the window, accompanied by the biting cold wind, which made the windows rattle. Ling Feng lit the firewood and put it in the fireplace. Soon the temperature in the house reached 25 degrees Celsius. He walked to the bar and poured himself a glass of Romanicani. Looking out the window, watching the snow scene, and tasting the wine, it feels pretty good. Chapter 25. Ling Feng opened his phone and checked his moments. The entire moments had been flooded with this sudden heavy snow. Some were happy, some complained, some were worried. A worker posted a message to celebrate. Wow, it's so nice not to have to go to work. Although it's a bit cold, I'd rather lie in bed than go to work. Let's get started. A young lady also posted. Such beautiful snowflakes. It would be more romantic only if you enjoy them with someone you like. I can never feel that kind of romance alone. And a beautiful photo of herself, standing in the snow, in stockings, and holding snowflakes in her hands. Ling Feng looked at this pretentious look, and a photo was full of heart. But there is one thing I have to admire. People dare to take photos in stockings in a weather of dozens of degrees below zero. It looks beautiful. Some people also posted to express their novel feelings. Oh my God, I'm from the South, and I finally see snow. Is anyone out for a snowball fight? Of course, some people also posted to express their concerns. Why did the weather suddenly become so cold? Everyone should quickly stock up on food. If the heavy snow continues, we will run out of food. This damn weather is so cold that the car can't start, damn. It's too cold. The water pipes at home are frozen. Ling Feng took a rough look. The end of the world has just begun, and no one cares too much about the sudden change in weather. Most of the posts are in a joking state, and everyone thinks it's just an accidental incident. They haven't realized the seriousness of the matter. Just as Ling Feng was browsing his moments, a group message dialog box popped up. He clicked in. Zizhuan Owners Group. There are 120 people in the group. There are a total of 80 villas in Zizhuan, and some couples are in the group. After joining this group, Ling Feng basically didn't say anything. Usually no one talks in the group. After all, most people who can live in villas are either rich or noble, and everyone is usually very busy. Few people chat in the group. Usually, only the property staff will post some information in the group. Most of them are notifications for paying property fees and holiday greetings. But today's group is quite lively. The reason is a statement made by the owner of Building 26. 26 Pengfei Industrial Xiao Pengfei. I suggest that everyone go to purchase supplies while the snow on the road is not too thick. 59 Li Lin. I just came back and the supplies in the mall have been sold out. I only grabbed a few bags of biscuits. As soon as this was said, the news in the group exploded instantly, and various news were refreshed quickly. Everyone couldn't believe that the supplies were sold out in a short time. You should know that the mall closest to Zizhuan is the largest supermarket in Shangjing City, and the goods in it are very rich. It was all sold out in just a few hours. Many people in the group also began to question the authenticity of this statement. 5 Lu Haixiang. It's unlikely. The goods in Ruifa are very rich. It's impossible for them to be sold out in a short time. 59 Li Lin. Really, I heard from the staff of the mall that there is a severe shortage of supplies recently. The amount of food supplied today is half of the usual amount. After that, he sent a video shot in the mall. In the video, everyone was frantically buying, and the goods on the shelves were empty. As soon as the video was released, everyone in the group began to panic. 38 Lu Feifei. My family has never had the habit of hoarding food. We only have red wine at home. What should we do? 80 Ling Yutong. It's the same in our family. The food at home is only enough for 2 days. I believe the government will come up with a policy. Don't panic. Ling Feng looked at the message sent by his uncle in the group and sneered in his heart. Official? This disaster has caused the entire social system of the world to collapse. The official is also powerless. However, Ling Yutong's words also attracted the agreement of some owners. 59 Li Lin. Mr. Ling is right. We should trust the authorities. If you have extra supplies, you can share them to tide over the difficulties together. 27 Wang Tianyi. Although I don't have much food at home, if you need it, you can come to me and I can share some of it. 20 Lu Jiwei. I don't have much food at home, but I have a relatively complete set of medicines. If you need it, you can add me. Ling Feng looked through the information in the group one by one. At this time, people were still very friendly and helped each other. After all, it was only the beginning of the end of the world. Everyone still had some supplies in their hands, and it was no problem to hold on for a few days. The social system is still very sound now, and everyone still acts honestly in accordance with the law and morality. Ling Feng turned on the TV and found the news channel. On TV, 2 TV hosts were sitting in the studio wearing thick clothes. The 2 hosts were wearing thick clothes and reporting the news about the extreme cold weather. The 2 hosts looked pale. Obviously, they were very cold. You should know that in a place like a studio, the indoor weather is usually very warm, and even in winter, they usually wear light clothes to broadcast. This also shows the impact of the extreme cold weather. At this time, the outdoor temperature has reached minus 50 degrees Celsius, and it is useless even if the air conditioner is turned on. The host claimed that the extreme cold weather was just an accidental event. Don't panic, do a good job of keeping warm, try to reduce going out, and believe in the official. In addition, the official will solve the problem of material supply for everyone as soon as possible. Please wait patiently. Ling Feng looked at it for a long time and felt that it was meaningless, so he turned off the TV. If you really believe these words, you will die faster. At this time, the blizzard outside the window was bigger than before, and the wind was getting stronger and stronger. However, although the blizzard was heavy, the snow on the ground was not much. This is mainly because Zizhuan is close to the seaside, and there are strong winds all year round. The blizzards in the sky are basically blown away, resulting in not much snow accumulation. Areas that are not close to the seaside will definitely have a lot of snow accumulation due to such a heavy blizzard. And because the temperature is extremely low, the falling snow will freeze in a short time. Ling Feng, who was a little bored, came to the esports room on the second floor. Before the end of the world, he downloaded and purchased tens of thousands of standalone games. In the esports room, he also placed a refrigerator so that he could get iced drinks at hand. After changing into a comfortable pajamas and lying on the soft sofa, Ling Feng picked up the game controller and started to kill all sides in the game. There was ice beer on the table, as well as some duck goods, snacks, and other snacks. Playing games, eating snacks, taking a nap when tired, without going to work or communicating with people everywhere. I have to say that this kind of life is pretty good for him. No need to worry about food and drink. The only worry is not knowing what to eat every day. After all, there are too many kinds of food in the space. For others, it is the end of the world, but for him, it is a dream life. Chapter 26. 5 days passed quickly. During these 5 days, the owner group of West Lake was very lively, and every day, someone complained about the inconveniences of life in the group. The food stored in each family gradually began to be in short supply. The extremely cold weather froze all the water pipes in the house, and drinking water could not be used. Best restaurants near me. The snow outside contained a large number of bacteria. Some people took the snow water outside home to drink, resulting in diarrhea. The materials promised by the government were delayed. Many families began to cut back on clothing and food. This made these wealthy people who were used to living a luxurious life miserable. These rich people have never suffered such hardship. Basically, every family here is worth more than 100 million. Now every day they discuss food and drink. At the same time, a panic mood gradually spread, and the end of the world gradually spread in the group. But these have nothing to do with Ling Feng. He's been so happy these days. When he was tired of playing games, he called Wang Long over, and the two of them played billiards in the billiard room in short sleeves. Since he didn't want to cook at night, he took out a dozen dishes from the space and opened a few bottles of Mauzy. The two smoked, drank, and chatted. When he was tired, he fell to the ground and slept, and he didn't have to worry about being delayed the next day. Throw away the unfinished dishes directly. Anyway, he now has a lot of food in his space. Even if he eats 10 tables a day, he can't finish it in his lifetime. Wang Long has been complaining about his weight gain these days. Ling Feng took him to the training room to exercise. Help him lose weight. By the way, help him recover some physical training. Since the two retired, Ling Feng has been maintaining his physical fitness, and his body has been in peak condition. But Wang Long is not like that. After retiring, he was blinded by alcohol and sex. His physical fitness is not as good as before, and even his best fighting has become rusty. When he was in the army, Wang Long's most outstanding fighting skills were fighting skills. No one in the entire special brigade could beat him in fighting. If he recovers, he will be able to protect himself in the end times with his skills. Ling Feng pulled Wang Long into the gravity room for strict training, doubling the gravity. After just half an hour of training, Wang Long lay on the ground like a pile of mud. No, really no. Wang Long lay on the ground and moaned weakly, not even having the strength to raise his hands. Seeing that Wang Long must have reached his limit, he let him go. After the training, the two returned to the restaurant on the first floor to prepare for dinner. Ling Feng took out a few dishes and simply made 6 Australian lobsters for steaks, 2 caviars, and 2 pastas, and opened a bottle of Lafite. Just deal with it. Just as the two were eating, the phone rang. Ling Feng picked up the phone and looked over. Ling Yutong, he sneered in his heart. It seems that their family has no food. In the previous life, their family ran out of food on the 5th day of the end of the world. There were 5 people in their family, and they didn't have much food in their home. They could only last for 3 days at most. Ling Feng took a bite of pasta and answered the phone. Hello, uncle. Ling Yutong, on the other end of the phone, originally dialed this number with the mentality of giving it a try. After all, he couldn't be unaware of what he had done to Ling Feng. If he wasn't so hungry, he wouldn't have called him. The reason why he called Ling Feng was because he knew that Ling Feng had a lot of food. He had someone secretly monitor Ling Feng for a few days before, and he knew that Ling Feng had found a restaurant to order food. That's why he shamelessly called Ling Feng, hoping that Ling Feng would give him some food for the sake of his relatives. Xiao Feng, can you give some food to my uncle's family? Ling Yutong huddled in the quilt, still shivering with cold, his teeth chattering as he spoke. Oh, supplies are in short supply now, and I don't have any extra food. Ling Feng's mouth was full of food, and he mumbled a little while talking. The chewing sound made Ling Yutong on the other end of the phone swallow his saliva. Xiao Feng, are you eating now? Yes, it's evening now. Just eat something. He took a photo of the food on the table and sent it over. Ling Yutong looked at a picture sent by Ling Feng on the other end of the phone and clicked it in. When he saw the Australian lobster on the table, his eyes were immediately straightened. The lobster must be at least 3 pounds. The key is that there are 6 on the table. In addition to lobster, there are steaks, caviar, and a half-drunk bottle of Lafite on the table. Ling Yutong was drooling with greed that I in this environment. It is a blessing to be full. Ling Feng can actually eat such a sumptuous meal. However, he didn't believe that someone would eat so extravagantly in the end times. Xiao Feng, are you kidding your uncle? How can there be such ingredients at this time? Ling Feng sent another selfie to prove it, and took a photo of the dishes on the table behind him. After Ling Yutong saw the selfie sent by Ling Feng, his eyes were full of jealousy. He was so hungry that he was dizzy, but this little bastard was eating a big meal. And he was wearing very thin clothes, only a pair of pajamas. It is estimated that he has heating equipment at home, unlike himself, who was freezing like a grandson. The temperature in the house is estimated to be minus 40 to 50 degrees. Seeing these foods made me even hungrier. I wish I could go to his house and have a big meal right now. Xiaofeng, can you finish all these Australian lobsters? Isn't it a waste if you can't finish them? No. Our dog can eat them if you can't finish them. We can't treat it badly. After all, it has to watch the house for me. He took another photo and sent it over. In the photo, the Black Panther was squatting on the ground, and a fat Australian lobster was placed in the bowl in front of it. Ling Yutong was furious. This little bastard took such high-end ingredients to feed the dog. It was really a waste of food. He didn't give it to me. Such a local dog doesn't deserve to eat such high-end food. Xiaofeng, actually uncle likes to eat Australian lobsters. You. Just as he was talking, Ling Feng on the other end of the phone suddenly said, Hello, uncle. What are you talking about? What's wrong with the signal? Then he hung up the phone. Ling Feng, who hung up the phone, sat on the dining table and laughed. This phone call must have made Ling Yutong very angry. But this is just the beginning. There is still a long way to go. Play with him slowly. Ling Yutong on the other end of the phone was really angry. His face was red, and he was so angry that he was not so cold. Looking at the photos sent by Ling Feng, I felt that I was greatly insulted. The most important thing is that I am even hungrier now. A vicious idea suddenly came to my mind. Chapter 27. He quickly called his son, daughter, and wife to gather the 5 of them together. Ling Kier looked unhappy. She had finally warmed up the bed a little bit, but her father woke her up again. Now she was cold and hungry. Dad, why did you call us over? Ling Kier tightened her down jacket. His 2 sons Ling Yi and Ling Tao also looked at him, waiting for him to speak. Ling Yutong said nothing and showed them the photos Ling Feng had sent on his phone. After Ling Kier saw the Australian lobster in the photo, she snatched the phone from his hand and looked at it carefully several times, as well as Ling Feng's selfie. Australian lobster, steak, caviar, and Lafite. Dad, did Ling Feng take these? Licking his cracked lips, his eyes were full of greed. Ling Yutong nodded slightly. When the others heard Ling Kier's words, they all snatched their phones and looked at them carefully. Their eyes were full of yearning. Dad, why is Ling Feng eating so well? Ling could have stared at the lobster in the photo, as if she could eat it like this. Ling Yutong told him all about Ling Feng's hoarding of supplies and building a safe house, as well as the fact that he had just called for help but was ruthlessly rejected. This little bastard is really unkind. After all, we are his relatives. Ling Yutong's wife Wang looked unkind and kept cursing Ling Feng. That's right. How can this kid live in such a good house and eat such a big meal? Ling Tao clenched his hands tightly, with a crazy look in his eyes. He had been hungry for a day, and seeing Ling Feng eating so well, he was only jealous. We gave him 15 billion, and these things must have been bought with our money. Now he should give them back to us. Ling Yi also looked as if it was a matter of course. Ling Yutong saw that his family basically had the same idea as him, and then he slowly spoke. We have to find a way to get the food from him now, and it would be best if we could live in his house. I called you here to discuss and come up with a solution. Why don't we just break in and force our way in? Ling Tao made his first suggestion. However, Ling Yutong rejected this suggestion as soon as he said it. Ling Feng was a special forces soldier and was very skilled, and they were no match for him. We can mobilize other people in the community to help. Ling Yi also spoke up to express his opinion. Are you stupid? If more people know about it, you will have to distribute the supplies to other people after the matter is done. Do you think you can monopolize his house? Ling Yutong scolded Ling Yi again. The 2 of them only knew how to fight for strength and didn't use their brains at all. Ling Tao and Ling Yi stopped talking immediately. They were both idiots, and they only thought about drinking and picking up girls all day long. Asking them to use their brains would be difficult for them. Ling Yutong looked at his 2 sons who didn't live up to expectations, with a look of disappointment on his face. I have a way. Ling Kuer, who had been silent, spoke up. Ling Yutong looked at his little daughter, who had been smart since she was a child and had many tricks in her mind. Ling Kuer saw that everyone was looking at her, cleared her throat, and said slowly, we can't do this by force. We have to use some strategies. Ling Feng is still very sentimental. We just need to do this. A group of people agreed with Ling Kuer's words, and everyone started to act quickly without hesitation. After playing with Ling Yutong, Ling Feng was in a good mood, and his appetite improved, and all the food on the table was eaten up. After dinner, he lay on the sofa in the living room playing games, and Wang Long returned to his villa. He and Black Panther were the only ones left at home. After 2 months of growth, Black Panther had grown a lot and now weighed 40 or 50 kilograms. When the Black Panther grows up, it is all black, without a single stray hair on its body, and even its tongue is black. It is an authentic Phi Black dog. It looks silly and very docile, but don't be fooled by its appearance. The combat effectiveness of the Phi Black dog is not low. Adult Phi Black dogs can be used as hunting dogs. Not only is it powerful in combat, it is also very smart and loyal to its master. Just when Ling Feng was playing the game at a critical moment, a rapid alarm sounded. Ling Feng watched the surveillance screen through the display screen in the living room. In order to facilitate his real-time monitoring of his villa, he specially installed an extra-large display screen in the living room. In the picture, a girl kept knocking on her home, the door. Due to the protection of the 2 doors of his house, the people inside could not hear the knocking sound outside. But his surveillance has an intelligent monitoring system. Once a strange face enters, the alarm system will be triggered immediately. Ling Feng looked at the girl knocking on the door with some surprise. Ling Kuer. At the same time, in the surveillance, Ling Feng also saw Ling Yutong hiding behind a tree not far away. I don't know what the uncle and his family are going to do. Ling Feng got up and opened the second protective door and came to the entrance door. Step on the ladder to open the observation port above the door. The observation port is 2 meters above the ground and can only be opened from the inside. Who is it? Knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Don't sleep, Ling Feng asked with anger. Ling Kuer's hair was messy. Her eyes were red, and she looked so weak that people couldn't help but feel pity. But Ling Feng knew the nature of their family very well. None of them was a good thing. This time I came here, and I saw that I didn't hold back my fart. Ling Kier was delighted when she heard Ling Feng's voice, sobbing and crying. Brother Feng, it's me, Kier. Kier, you're not sleeping at home at night. What's wrong? Brother Feng, I was kicked out by my two brothers. I have nowhere to go now. Please take me in. She trembled all over after saying that. This was not fake. She was really cold. Ling Feng snorted coldly. You still want to come into my house? You want nothing. Ling Feng put on a concerned tone. What? Why did they kick you out? What's going on? Ling Kier choked and cried. They said there was not much food at home. So in order to save food, they let me go out to find food by myself and didn't let me go back, and my dad was also beaten by them. What, these two beasts? How could they do such a thing? Ling Feng's angry tone came from inside, and Ling Kier felt that Ling Feng had taken the bait. As long as I can get into the villa, the plan will be half completed. Brother Feng, I'm so cold now. Can you let me in to avoid the wind? I promise to leave tomorrow morning. Ling Feng snorted in his heart. She still wants to come in and occupy my house after all the twists and turns. If it was in the previous life, I would really let her in. But now, huh? Chapter 28. We are all family. It's too formal to say that. I'll go get the key now. Then he added, don't go. Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Feng. Ling Kuer was ecstatic. She would be able to live in a warm villa and eat Australian lobster soon. No need to be hungry and cold anymore. Ling Feng returned to the living room and felt a little hot. The fire in the fireplace was a little big. It was a little late, so he went back upstairs to sleep. Ling Kuer was still waiting for Ling Feng to open the door for her with excitement. Gradually, she found something was wrong. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, Ling Feng still didn't come to open the door for her. Ling Kuer thought to herself that maybe he was still looking for the key. She shrank her neck and continued to wait. Then she waited for another half an hour, and she was almost frozen. She was hungry to begin with, and she stood outside for nearly an hour, so her body's heat was quickly consumed. Only then did she realize that she had been fooled. She began to bang on the door vigorously, hoping to attract Ling Feng's attention. She was unwilling to give up, as she was about to succeed. However, Ling Feng could not hear her banging at all, but the vicious look in her eyes was clearly captured by the camera. Ling Feng lay on the bed, watching Ling Kuer's crazy appearance outside the door through his mobile phone, and felt extremely comfortable. However, Ling Feng felt that this was still not enough to relieve his hatred. He thought about it for a while, then got up and got out of bed and returned to the door again. Through the observation port, he saw Ling Kuer, who was still knocking on the door. He held the instant noodles that he had just made in his hand. He didn't like instant noodles at all, but he really missed them after not eating them for a while. He opened the observation port, and the smell of instant noodles drifted outside along the observation port. Ling Kuer, who was still banging on the door, suddenly smelled the smell of instant noodles. She had been spoiled since she was a child, and had always sneered at things like instant noodles. But now, she felt that the fragrance wafting out was the most delicious thing in the world. Her throat rolled, and her stomach gurgled unconsciously. At this time, Ling Feng's voice sounded at the right time. Sister Kuer, I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting for so long. Ling Kuer instantly changed her expression to a pitiful one when she heard Ling Feng's voice. Brother Feng, I'm so cold. Please let me in. It's not that I don't let you in. It's just that I can't find the key. I can't open the door without the key. Wait for me to open the door for you tomorrow. I have to find it even if I don't sleep today. As he said that, he took a bite of the old-style pickled cabbage beef noodles in his hand. Ling Kuer became even hungrier after hearing the sound of people asking for noodles inside, and couldn't help but say, Brother Feng, can you give me something to eat? I haven't eaten for a day. Really? Why didn't you say so earlier? It's a pity that I only have instant noodles. I remember that you hate instant noodles the most. Ling Feng said with some regret, and took another mouthful of noodles, and deliberately made the sound of eating noodles very loud. Ling Kuer hurriedly retorted, No, I have always liked instant noodles. Ling Feng didn't reply to her, lowered his head to eat noodles, and finally drank up all the soup. Burp! Ling Feng burped, with a satisfied look on his face, looking at Ling Kuer, who was shivering outside the door. Kuer, come back tomorrow morning. I will definitely open the door for you again. Then he took out a steamed bun from the space and threw it out, saying in a gentle tone, This is my daily ration. If you don't like instant noodles, eat this first. Then he closed the observation port. Ling Kuer looked at the steamed bun that Ling Feng threw out casually like feeding a dog, and she didn't care about her dignity anymore. She quickly bent down to pick it up and stuffed it in her mouth. The steamed bun was still warm and soft in her mouth. She had never thought that an ordinary steamed bun would be as delicious as today. Ling Yutong, who was hiding in the distance, looked at Ling Kuer, who was eating a white thing. It looked delicious, and he hurried over. Ling Kuer looked at her father, who was running towards her, and she couldn't help but speed up the speed of eating the steamed bun, stuffing all the steamed buns into her mouth in a few bites. Because she ate too fast, the steamed bun choked her, and her face turned red. She quickly stood on the spot and jumped twice before she ate the steamed bun. When Ling Yutong ran over, the steamed bun had already been eaten by Ling Kuer. Ling Yutong looked at his daughter angrily, pointed at her nose, and scolded. Why are you so selfish? Why don't you leave some food for me? Why did I raise such an ungrateful person like you? Ling Kuer didn't care about what he said, and said arrogantly, I asked for it with my own ability. Why should I give it to you? How is it going? He also forgetting about the steamed buns, he asked about the progress of the incident. Ling Kuer simply replied that she would talk about it after she got home, and walked directly towards home. Ling Yutong had no choice but to sigh and follow her home. Ling Feng saw the scene of the loving father and filial daughter clearly, and even their conversation was monitored by the surveillance. However, all the surveillance cameras installed by Ling Feng were micro-stealth cameras, which could not be seen from the outside. Looking at the Ling father and daughter walking away, Ling Feng felt a little funny. It turned out that if they were not from the same family, they would not enter the same door. Only someone like Ling Yutong, who killed his father and nephew, could raise such excellent children. 27 West Bay Villas. Ling Kuer discussed tomorrow's action with the others. However, she did not mention the fact that she had eaten a steamed bun today. If she did, there would be a quarrel. However, Ling Yutong did not look at her well all night. After all, this action was proposed by her. Now she has not gained any benefits, and she is hungry. Tomorrow, our family will act together. We must ensure that we will hit the target with one strike. Otherwise, we will have no hope. Ling Kuer issued the combat deployment for this time. She was full of confidence. With her perfect acting skills, she would be able to get Ling Feng to open the door tomorrow. Don't worry, my second brother and I are the best at this. My eldest brother, and I will take him down tomorrow. The two brothers Ling Tao and Ling Yi patted their chests and promised that they would complete the task tomorrow. Ling Yutong always felt that this plan was very dangerous and had always disagreed with this aggressive plan. However, it seemed that there was no other way. That Ling Feng is very skilled. You must act quickly, you know, he warned with some worry. The sixth day of the apocalypse, Ling Feng, who was still asleep, was awakened by the alarm. Ling Feng sat up and rubbed his eyes. He picked up his phone and checked the surveillance. It turned out that Ling Yutong and his family were here again. What kind of drama is this today? Last night it was Ling Kier's one-man show, but today it was changed to a group show? Chapter 29. Ling Feng looked at the funny scene outside the door. Ling Tao and Ling Yi were standing on both sides of the gate, each holding a machete in their hands, with their hands raised high, ready to attack at any time. Ling Yutong's wife Wang leaned on Ling Yutong, with a gauze wrapped around Wang's head and red blood-like substance oozing out. She looked weak. Ling Kuer still looked half-dead, knocking on the door of Ling Feng's house. They had no idea that their self-perfect plan was captured clearly by the surveillance camera. Ling Feng looked at this disgusting family with disgust in his eyes. How stupid he was in his previous life, and he was fooled by this group of people. Ling Feng ignored them and went to wash up first. He made a simple breakfast for himself. 2 fried eggs, a sandwich, and a cup of soy milk. I have eaten too much fish and meat recently, so I want to eat something light. By the time he finished his meal, almost an hour had passed, and he walked slowly to the back of the gate. Ling Tao and Ling Yi, who were lying in ambush on both sides of the gate, gradually lost their patience. They had been standing here for more than an hour, and their raised hands were numb from the cold. Ling Tao questioned Ling Kuer in a low voice. Is your plan reliable? Why hasn't it happened yet? My hands are almost numb from the cold. Ling Yi also echoed Ling Yi's dissatisfaction. Ling Kuer rolled her eyes at him and whispered, Can you be a little patient? Hidewell? In his heart, he despised these two brothers who only knew how to mess with women every day. They were incompetent at everything they did and had nothing left over after eating. As he was talking, he heard a sound coming from the gate, and Ling Tao quickly retracted his head and held the machete tightly with both hands. He held his breath tightly, ready to give the person who opened the door a fatal blow at any time. Ling Feng opened the observation window and looked at Ling Kuer outside the door, said in a surprised tone, Kuer, didn't we agree yesterday that only you could come in? What are you doing? Ling Kuer hadn't spoken yet, but Ling Yutong spoke first. Xiaofeng, your aunt fell yesterday and is now dizzy and weak. We really have no other choice, so we have to trouble you. I know the temperature in your house is warmer. I just want your aunt to go to your house to recuperate. You just need to let her mother and daughter in. Let Kuer take care of her mother. As long as your aunt is well, they will leave immediately. Ling Feng showed an embarrassed expression. The food here can only protect myself. If there are 2 people, it won't work. You can only go in one, and you can choose one person to come out. Ling Kuer showed an expression of wanting to cry, and begged Ling Feng bitterly. Brother Feng, please save my mother. We are all a family, please. Ling Feng sneered in his heart. Moral kidnapping has begun. Looking at their acting skills, I really want to give them an Oscar. He said in a somewhat teasing tone, I understand the truth, but what are the 2 cousins doing standing on both sides of the door with knives in their hands? When these words came out, Ling Kuer's eyes were instantly a little flustered, and a dry smile was piled on her face. Brother Feng, what are you talking about? Why don't I understand? Okay, stop pretending. I can see it all on the surveillance. Ling Tao, Ling Yi, don't your hands get sore after holding them for so long? The 2 people who heard this immediately glared at Ling Kuer angrily. Then they put down the knives in their hands and walked to the door. And that Annie, wake up and don't catch a cold after sleeping for a while. Wang, who originally looked weak, opened her eyes instantly and got up from Ling Yutong's arms. She pointed her right finger at Ling Feng. Little bastard, don't think we can't do anything to you just because you are in there. Wang spoke with full energy, and from the sound of her voice, she was in a very healthy body, thanks to her fat body. Xiao Tao and Xiao Yi, you 2 smash all the glass in his house for me. If you don't let me in, you won't have a good life. Ling Feng was immediately angry and laughed when he heard Wang's rogue words. You fat old woman. How many years have you been pickling your mouth? It's so tasty. I know you are honest, but you can't pull it out of your mouth, right? When Wang heard him scolding her, the fat man immediately got angry. He slammed the door hard. You little bastard. You are the fat man. Get out of here. You are not only fat, but also ugly. You look like an alien. I don't know how your mother held back from vomiting when you were born. Ling Feng held a cigarette in his mouth and scolded him slowly through the door. Wang was scolded so much that she lost her mind and started looking for bricks to throw at his window. Ling Tao and Ling Yi also joined Ling Qier, and Ling Yutong stood aside and did not join the team that smashed the glass. I don't know what they were thinking. The three Wangs kept smashing the villa of Ling Feng's family, which made Ling Feng laugh. They were not afraid of the bulletproof glass missiles in their own house. So why were they afraid of him smashing it with bricks? He walked directly to the window and made faces at the three people and raised his middle finger. Although I don't know what the crazy people outside said to me, judging from their mouth shapes, it was not a good thing anyway. Ling Feng decided to teach them a lesson, just as if he would collect some interest first. He came to the location on the third floor, opened the window, and took out the compound bow from the space. He also specially found an arrow with barbs. Once this thing is shot in, it is not easy to pull it out. Ling Feng adjusted his posture, set the bow and arrow, and aimed. Swoosh! Ah! There was a pig-killing scream outside, and Ling Tao lay on the ground crying and covering his thigh. An arrow went straight through his thigh. The pain made his forehead sweat. However, because the temperature outside was too cold, the sweat froze as soon as it came out. However, the pain in the thigh disappeared after a few seconds. Ling Tao quickly looked at his thigh. The blood that flowed out was frozen in a few seconds. The whole thigh was now unconscious, and the wound was frozen. In such extremely cold weather, if this kind of penetrating injury is not treated in time, the injured part will quickly necrotize and finally have to be amputated. Looking at the injured Ling Tao, Wang was directly scared silly. As an ordinary rich lady, how could she have seen such a scene? Before she could react, Ling Tao's other leg was also hit by the bow and arrow. Ling Yi, who was cursing just now, was frightened to the point of peeing his pants. He ran away quickly, not caring about Ling Tao on the ground, for fear that he would be hit by an arrow. Ling Qier and Ling Yutong, who were not far away, ran over to check on Ling Tao's physical condition. When they saw Ling Tao's frozen wound, they immediately felt something was wrong. The three of them hurriedly carried Ling Tao home. Ling Feng stood in front of the window, watching the few people fleeing in a panic, and snorted coldly. I'll spare your lives this time, but next time you come to cause trouble, it won't be as simple as 2 legs. Chapter 30. Ling Yutong and his family hurriedly carried Ling Tao back to the villa. Ling Tao's face was pale, and he had fallen into a coma. Ling Yutong found a pair of scissors and cut off all the clothes around the wound. When everyone saw the wound on the thigh, they took a breath of cold air. At this time, Ling Tao's thigh had turned purple, and his legs had begun to become stiff. It seemed that his legs could not be saved. If he was not rescued in time, he would soon die in this extremely cold weather. Ling Yutong held Ling Yutao's thigh with one hand and held the tail of the bow and arrow with the other hand and pulled it out hard. Because there was a barb on the arrow, the entire arrow went straight through the entire thigh. Ling Yutong took great pains to pull out the 2 arrows. Although the arrows were pulled out, no blood flowed out because his entire lower body was completely frozen. Everyone hurriedly brought the wooden furniture in the house. Although this Wang Wali chair was valuable, it was worthless in the end of the world. It can only be used as firewood. Ling Yutong dismantled the chair into a bunch of parts, and then started a fire, hoping to use the temperature of the flame to save Ling Tao. The flame slowly rose, and everyone sat around the fire, feeling the long-lost temperature since the end of the world. Wang couldn't help holding Ling Tao's hand anymore, and started crying, cursing. Ling Feng, this bastard. We just want some food, and he's so cruel. How can he be so cruel? Standing aside, Ling Yutong's face was livid. These 2 sons were his favorites, and now Ling Tao was dying. Originally, he just wanted to ask Ling Feng for some food and stay at his house for a few days, but he didn't expect it to turn into this situation. Ling Qier didn't feel sad at all at this time, only resentment. If it weren't for these 2 useless brothers, her plan wouldn't have failed so quickly. If she went to find Ling Feng herself, she might succeed. It would be much more difficult for her to gain Ling Feng's trust in the future. Ling Yi was feeling both relieved and fearful at this moment. Fortunately, he ran fast and stood far away. Otherwise, he would be the one lying on the ground. At the same time, he felt a little fear towards Ling Feng. He had a weapon in his hand and dared to kill. He should not provoke this evil star in the future. Wang cried for a while, stopped crying, and then sobbed. Yutong, find a way to save Towers. Yes, call the police quickly and catch Ling Feng, the bastard. As she said that, she walked to the table with her fat legs, picked up her mobile phone, and called the police. But he made several calls in a row, but no one answered them. Then she tried to call the emergency number of the hospital. As expected, none of them could be connected. She naively thought that this was still the same world. She was lost and collapsed on the ground. At this moment, Ling Tao, who was originally unconscious, suddenly woke up and kept muttering, "Mama!" The originally silent crowd quickly surrounded him, with a little joy on their faces, thinking that Ling Tao's body had recovered. Wang kept stroking Ling Tao's pale and cold cheeks, and her voice trembled. "Mom is here, Taoist." Ling Tao's voice was a little weak, and he said intermittently, "I'm so cold." When Wang heard it, she hurriedly worked with Ling Yutong to move Ling Tao's body to the fire. "Tower, are you feeling better now?" However, Ling Tao fell into a coma again at this time, and his body temperature began to drop rapidly. Half an hour later, he completely turned into a cold corpse. Wang lay on Ling Tao's body and cried continuously, and kept cursing Ling Feng in her mouth. Although Ling Yutong did not cry, his face was full of sadness, and there was hatred for Ling Feng. He never thought that he was the one who took the initiative to provoke others, and he was killed by others because of his own fault. All this was Ling Feng's fault. If he had honestly taken out the food and let the family live in, this would not have happened. It was all caused by Ling Feng, a selfish and vicious bastard. "Since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust." He took out his mobile phone and took a photo of Ling Tao's tragic death, and sent the photo to the Westlake Villa District Owners Group and directly at Ling Feng. "Ling Feng, I just want to borrow some food from you. You have so much food at home, and giving it to you will not affect your life. If you don't want to lend it, forget it. Why do you want to kill me? I am your uncle, and Ling Tao is also your cousin. You shot him in the thigh with a bow and arrow, and now he has no vital signs. You must give our family an explanation for this matter." As soon as Ling Yutong posted this, the group went crazy. This completely portrayed Ling Feng as a ruthless, cold-blooded, murderous extremist. Some people in the group began to blame Ling Feng, especially when they heard that his family had a lot of food. Jealousy made people in the group start to stand on Ling Yutong's side. Seeing more and more people supporting him, Ling Yutong was very satisfied. As long as he aroused the hatred of other owners towards Ling Feng, he could implement the next plan. 26 Pengfei Industrial Xiao Pengfei. I can't believe that there are such cruel people in this world. How could you kill your cousin? At 15, Ling Feng. 55 Zhang Dashan. You have so much food. What's the point of giving some to others? You still want to kill people? Are you a human being? 5 Lu Haixiang. Such social extremists don't deserve to live in our community. Get out. 32 Lu Yong. You don't know how to use so much food to help your neighbors. It's too selfish. Ling Feng, who was playing games in the esports room, suddenly heard a constant stream of messages popping up on his phone. However, he was at a critical moment in the game, so he didn't care about these messages and continued to fight the big dragon. During this period, messages kept popping up. He was at a disadvantage in the game, and the message prompts made him a little bored. Just when he was about to mute his phone, a WeChat call came in. He turned his head and saw that it was Lin Su calling. He clicked the button to answer the call, put the phone aside, and still held the game controller in his hand. As soon as the call was answered, Lin Su's somewhat anxious voice sounded. "Ling Feng, did you kill someone?" When Ling Feng heard this, he thought to himself that he had killed many people. "Which one were you talking about?" Ling Feng didn't understand what he meant by this, and why he suddenly asked himself this question. "What do you mean? How could I kill someone? I'm a law-abiding citizen. Your uncle in the group accused you of wounding someone and causing death. Go to the owner group and take a look. It has caused a lot of anger." Ling Feng put down the game controller in his hand. "Okay, I know. I'll go take a look now." Ling Feng hung up the phone and clicked on WeChat. The WeChat group message prompt showed 99+ and someone himself. Chapter 31. Ling Feng opened the WeChat group and looked through the chat records in the group. After reading these chat records, Ling Feng sneered. This Ling Yutong is really a thief. Judging from the words he posted in the group, it can be said that he is vicious. First of all, he told others that he has stored a lot of supplies here, and this matter will not be a big deal for the time being. Once the supplies of most families in the entire villa area are exhausted, he will become the target of public criticism in the entire community. At that time, he will have no peace, and this group of people will definitely unite against him. Although he is not afraid of these people, he is also annoying. He just wants to live a quiet life. He also doesn't want his every move to be monitored by others. The second is that Ling Yutong stood on the moral high ground to accuse him, only saying in the group that he hurt people, but did not mention anything about their family's conspiracy to hurt people. Ling Feng directly posted the video of Ling Yutong's family ambushing at his door in the group, and directly at Ling Yutong. "Your family ambushed at my door with knives and lured me out. You said you just wanted to borrow some food? Who would come with a knife to borrow food?" Then he posted a video of Ling Yutong's 2 sons and Wang smashing their glass with bricks. "I was just defending myself. You destroyed my private property. I have the right to defend myself. And those saints in the group, how much food I have is my own business, and it has nothing to do with you. Don't use those moral kidnappings to restrict me. I don't know you. I didn't cause you to starve to death. Whoever dares to come and cause trouble again will end up like the one above." Ling Feng posted several videos in a row, and his anger was relieved a little. "It's the end of the world, and you still dare to point fingers in front of me. Your sense of superiority is worthless in the end of the world." After Ling Feng posted this in the group instantly became much quieter, and the people who were still shouting just now instantly became much quieter. After watching the two videos posted by Ling Feng, some people finally understood the whole story. Some people felt that Ling Yutong had conspired to harm others with bad intentions, but was killed by others in the end. He deserved it. Some people also felt that Ling Feng was too ruthless. After all, they were a family, so there was no need to kill them. Some owners in the group also began to educate Ling Feng. 20 Lu Jiwei. Xiao Ling from Building 5, don't be so angry. We are all owners of the same community. We will meet each other if we look down. There is no need to make the relationship so tense. Even though your uncle's family is wrong, you can just drive them away. There is no need to kill them. This has been done before. I suggest you apologize to them and make some compensation. Ling Feng was so angry that he laughed when he saw the speech of Building 20. Ling Feng had heard from others that Lu Jiwei was a retired leader of a state-owned enterprise. He liked to put on airs when he spoke. Moreover, this person knew Ling Yutong, and the two seemed to have financial dealings. He was obviously speaking for Ling Yutong now. The two of them, one playing the good cop and the other playing the bad cop, united to put pressure on him. It's the end of the world now, and he still puts on airs to point fingers. Ling Feng doesn't care about him. A retired leader of a state-owned enterprise, living in a villa worth tens of millions, said he was clean. Ling Feng didn't believe it at all. Such people are often the most greedy and cunning. However, Ling Feng didn't fight back against him. He wanted to see what tricks Lu Jiwei could come up with. Then tell me what I should do. Lu Jiwei, who was lying on the sofa, saw Ling Feng's message. His eyes lit up, and he felt a little proud. This kid is quite sensible. The food at home has been running out these days, and he is worried about not having food. Now a large grain storage has come, and now he can get some food. From the photos Ling Yutong sent him, this kid can still eat Australian lobster, which means that his family must have a lot of reserves. He almost vomited after eating these breads and compressed biscuits these days. He also wants to try Australian lobster. Then he sent a long voice message and sent it. First, you have to apologize to Ling Yutong's family in person, and second, you have to ensure their daily food needs. Second now is a critical period. In the face of difficulties, we must unite and fight this natural disaster together. You should take out some of the supplies you have and distribute them to the residents who are short of food. Of course, you will not suffer any loss. We can buy them at twice the market price. In addition, I heard that your indoor temperature is good. I suggest that some of the elderly, weak, sick, and disabled people should be given some food first. They are just temporarily living here, as their resistance is relatively weak. After the disaster is over, we will let them move out. I believe these owners will be very grateful to you for all you have done. We are all well-known people in our group, and we have abundant resources at hand, and we will be of great help to you in the future. After Lu Jiwei sent out this voice message, many people who were short of supplies at home gave Lu Jiwei a thumbs up and praised him for his vision. 27 Wang Tianyi. I think we should all unite and overcome difficulties together. 26 Pengfei Industry Xiao Pengfei. I think this suggestion is very good. A distant relative is not as good as a close neighbor. After reading this voice message from Lu Jiwei, Ling Feng called it professional. I have to admire this Lu Jiwei. He is really a talent. He is more exploitative than Zhou Baobi. Not only do you have to take out your own food, but you also have to take out your own house. Otherwise, you could be a leader. It's not enough until you have eaten all the bones and scraps left. Do you want me to take out all the supplies and give them to you to distribute? Ling Feng continued to tease this big leader and found it quite interesting. Lu Jiwei stroked the few hairs on his head and looked at the message sent by Ling Feng. He felt that this kid was quite sensible. This specific I think we should discuss and decide who to keep it for. If necessary, we can set up a group to make a joint decision. Then you should study it quickly and come to a conclusion. Ling Feng lay on the sofa and laughed. This was much more interesting than playing games. This Lu Jiwei really took himself seriously and naively thought that he was so easy to fool. In order to make the atmosphere in the group more lively, Ling Feng directly took out a little bit of supplies in the space, took a photo, and sent it to the group. In his eyes, a little bit was also a huge amount of supplies. You know, he has accumulated nearly 30 billion supplies through purchases and 0 yuan purchases, plus the space replication system. That is 3 trillion supplies. This stock can only be described as terrifying. Chapter 32. After seeing the photos sent by Ling Feng, the owners in the group all had red eyes. Dozens of boxes of instant noodles, canned meats, fresh water, some fruits, fresh meat, snacks. The types of supplies are very complete, enough for a family of 3 to eat for 3 years. After sending this photo, Ling Feng also specially added the text. If these supplies are given to you, how are you going to divide them? As soon as this was said, the people in the group began to discuss in a serious manner. 1 Lu Feng. I think it can be evenly distributed according to the number of 80 villas so that it is fair. 50 Wu Tianla. You are dreaming. There is only one person in your family. How can others have enough food for a family of 5? 35 Lu Lily. I think it could be given priority to girls, and the rest can be distributed according to the number of people. After all, ladies should be given priority. 59 Li Lin. All the female boxers, get out of the way, damn. When you're trying to get benefits, you come out to say ladies first. 35 Lu Lily. When the man below speaks, it is best to wipe his mouth clean. Don't spray anything out. Ling Feng watched the heated discussions in the group. Some even quarreled, and laughed so hard that his stomach hurt. It has only been a few days, and this group of elites have begun to tear off their disguises and quarrel over a little food. Ling Feng saw that the group was lively, and Yang Zihan sent him a message. Are you there? Ling Feng was a little surprised. He hadn't contacted her for a long time. Since he clearly rejected her, she has not looked for him. Why is she looking for him now? In fact, Yang Zihan didn't want to look for him. After all, she is a goddess of the public, and those who want to pursue her have to line up. It has always been other men who take the initiative to look for her, and whether she replies or not depends on her mood. Let her go to someone who has rejected her. That was absolutely impossible in the past. But now I'm starting to starve, and face is not as important as filling my stomach. Lin Su sent her a lot of food in the first few days of the apocalypse, but when she asked for it yesterday, she didn't get it. The whole family has been hungry for a day now. Thinking of this, she resented Lin Su. Her family of 4 just ate a little of her food, and she broke up with her. She was really blind to make this friend. Seeing that Ling Feng didn't reply to her message immediately, Yang Zihan sent another emoticon. Is there anything? Ling Feng replied directly with 3 words. He didn't want to have too much entanglement with this woman, so he replied directly with a cold tone. Brother, can you give me some food? Pitiful expression. No. Yang Zihan looked at the text sent by Ling Feng, and her nose was almost crooked with anger. You are a big beauty who is humbly asking you for some food, but you are unwilling. There are so many things in your house. What's wrong with giving me some? Why are you so stingy? Get down. She resisted the urge to curse and continued to chat with Ling Feng patiently. Brother, aren't we good friends? I just want a little bit. But she waited for a long time, but there was no message from Ling Feng. She knew she was left out. She used this trick often before, and now she was treated like this. Just when she was about to type back at him, Ling Feng suddenly replied. Not familiar. Yang Zihan wanted to smash her phone, but she thought about it and let it go. Now she couldn't go out and had to stay at home. It was more troublesome without a phone, but now she had no food in her hands, and she had to find a way to get food. Looking at herself in the mirror with disheveled hair and dirty face, she was a little disgusted with herself. Since the extreme cold weather came, the water pipes at home were frozen. She hadn't taken a shower or washed her face for several days, and her hair was greasy. She looked for a suitable candidate in a contact list named Fishpond in the WeChat group, and she really found one after searching for a long time. Zhao Jun, a rich second generation, who also lives in this community, had been pursuing her before, but she ignored him. Every time she broadcast live, he often gave her gifts. Thinking of this, she immediately sent a message to Zhao Jun. Brother, what are you doing? Cute. Zhao Jun, who was originally lying on the bed eating bread, saw the message sent to him by the goddess and jumped up instantly. He has been thinking about Yang Zihan for a long time. Since he saw Yang Zihan's beauty, he can no longer tolerate other girls in his eyes. Especially every time he gave her a sports car rocket, Yang Zihan smiled sweetly at him. That call a brother made her sleep sweet every day. He took a photo of a half-eaten bread and sent it to him. I'm lying on the bed eating bread. I really envy you. You have bread to eat? I can only eat 1 sausage a day now. Yang Zihan endured the discomfort and sent a voice message to Zhao Jun. Zhao Jun is short, fat, and dark, and he would not even look at such a person in the past. Now, for food, he can only hold his nose and chat with him. Zhao Jun listened to the voice message sent by the goddess, and the voice made his whole body feel numb. Just this voice can make him rush. He quickly sent a voice message to the goddess. Henin, you are so pitiful. How could I let you starve? Wait for me. I will bring you food. After saying that, he quickly found a backpack, filled it with food, and hurried to Yang Zihan's home. Thanks to his family's food company, they store a lot of the company's products at home. Thinking of the goddess acting coquettishly to him, he couldn't help but speed up his pace. After arriving at Yang Zihan's villa, Zhao Jun pressed the doorbell nervously. After a while, Yang Zihan opened the door. Brother, you are here. Yang Zihan smiled, holding Zhao Jun's arm with both hands, cheering. Seeing his goddess smiling and greeting him, Zhao Jun blushed and smiled foolishly. He handed the backpack to Yang Zihan. Here, tell me if it's not enough. Yang Zihan took the heavy backpack, and the smile in her eyes became stronger. Thank you, brother. You are so nice. Zhao Jun went home with a satisfied look on his face, and he seemed to be drunk and dizzy. He kept fantasizing about his love with the goddess in the future. Today, I finally had a close contact with the goddess for the first time. I will take her down sooner or later. After Ling Feng rejected Yang Zihan, he blocked her directly to avoid bothering him next time. What were you doing when I asked you to stock up supplies? Now you know to ask for supplies. He would never pay attention to such a fool. Such people often die the fastest in the end of the world. It is better to stay away from such people to avoid getting involved. That is, women like Lin Su, who are not only beautiful but also smart and decisive, can survive in the end of the world. Thinking of Lin Su's capable and cold temperament, round and tall figure, and exquisite and perfect face, Ling Feng suddenly had some ideas in his mind. After all, food and clothing. Chapter 33. Living alone in this villa is a bit lonely, although Wang Long can often come to accompany me to relieve boredom. But sometimes there are things that only women can solve. Just when Ling Feng was still fantasizing about Lin Su in his mind, another WeChat call came in. Ling Feng picked up the phone on the table and looked over. Hey, what do you think is coming? A call from Lin Su. Ling Feng opened the phone and answered it. Ling Feng, are you really going to take out all the supplies to distribute to this group of people? It can be heard that Lin Su on the other end of the phone still doesn't believe that he will really take out the supplies. She knows who Ling Feng is, and he is definitely not a person who is willing to suffer losses. Although Ling Feng has a good impression of Lin Su. After all, the two of them are not at the point of talking about everything. Now it is the end of the world, and it is even more difficult to trust others easily. I can't help it if I don't take it. If they come to rob me, I can't help it either. Lin Su wanted to say that we are in a society ruled by law, but she thought about the current environment and held back the words. Then she asked with a somewhat embarrassed tone, I have some medicines that are in short supply in the market. If you need it, I want to exchange some food with you. Lin Su's cheeks were slightly red. She had never asked others since she was a child. Today was the first time she asked someone. The food she had was only enough for a week. If she was frugal, it would only be enough for 10 days at most. She also had a plan for her future. Ling Feng was undoubtedly the best choice. Ling Feng was a little surprised to hear this. Logically, she should have stockpiled some supplies. It was only a few days before supplies were in short supply. Didn't you stockpile supplies at home? This is a bit annoying to talk about. Then she told Ling Feng about Yang Zihan's affairs, and Yang Zihan's greed and blind demands, which led to most of her supplies going into their family's mouths. Now she has broken up with Yang Zihan because of this matter. After listening to her words, Ling Feng suddenly realized that Yang Zihan's family had no supplies at all, and she relied on her mouth to beg for everything. After rejecting her, he didn't know which unlucky guy would be her next target. I don't lack medicines. What else can you exchange? Ling Feng stroked his chin, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. Lin Su on the other end of the phone was silent for a while, and slowly said, I only have medicines in my hands as an exchange. I studied biomedicine in college and am good at genetic research. I wonder if I can help you. When he heard the words genetic research, Ling Feng instantly put away the somewhat lewd expression on his face. This is something I need so much. I have the core data on genetic serum in my hands. I have always wanted to continue my research, but I know very little about this. I have always wanted to learn about this knowledge, but I haven't had time to learn it since the end of the world. Another thing is that no one can teach him systematically. With 20% of his brain developed now, he will learn very quickly. Although he does need talents in this area, he did not express his opinion immediately. He still decided to investigate whether Lin Su is suitable as his partner in the end of the world. At present, your expertise is of some help to me, but it is not urgent at present. I will contact you when I need it. By the way, please help me pay attention to the movements of others. Remember to tell me if they have any actions. After hanging up the phone, Ling Feng started today's physical training. Since the end of the world, he has not stopped his training. At present, he can adapt to 32 times the gravity and can perform simple strength training under 32 times the pressure. However, he is going to change the training method today. He took out a Tang horizontal knife from space. This knife was seized from the killer headquarters and has been upgraded once. The upgraded Tang horizontal knife can be evaluated as cutting iron like mud. It not only has extremely strong hardness and toughness, the sharpness is also beyond common sense. He once tried to use this knife to chop a cow bone, and a fist-thick cow bone was directly chopped in half with a smooth joint. The entire blade did not have any damage, and Ling Feng did not use much force when swinging the knife. Ling Feng also loved this knife, so today he was going to practice the basic knife skills of Tang Hung Dao. The moves were mainly from teaching videos found on the internet. He could not find a knife master to teach, so he could only learn it online. However, his learning efficiency is very high now. After watching the video once, he has basically learned all the basic knife moves. Ling Feng held the knife with both hands and kept practicing in the training ground. Although it was his first time practicing swordsmanship, he still performed it vividly. As he practiced again and again, his swordsmanship, which was still unfamiliar, gradually became proficient. The speed of his swordsmanship became faster and faster. With his speed far exceeding that of ordinary people, his whole body made it difficult for people to tell whether he was real or fake. When he drew his sword, after images began to appear, making it difficult to tell which was the virtual image and which was the real object. After practicing for an hour, he had completely mastered this swordsmanship. However, he was not satisfied. He still felt that it was not fast enough. He only learned a basic swordsmanship, which was not very sophisticated. In order to gain the upper hand in actual combat, the sword must be drawn quickly enough. As long as it is extremely fast, even the simplest moves can become a unique skill. In the world of martial arts, only the strong can be indestructible, and only the fast can be indestructible. He walked into the gravity room and adjusted the gravity to 20 times. He continued to swing the Tang sword again. Under the blessing of 20 times gravity, the speed of his sword practice became very slow, as if it was slowed down. But the whole person was under greater force. After practicing a set of swordsmanship, the whole person was sweating. But Ling Feng was really happy. I didn't expect that under such pressure, I could find the shortcomings of my movements. And in the process of practicing swordsmanship, my physical fitness can also be continuously improved, which is simply killing two birds with one stone. Ling Feng wiped his sweat, drank a sip of water, and started sword training again. Just when Ling Feng was practicing swordsmanship, the owners of Zizawin had a lot of discussions on the distribution of Ling Feng's materials, and finally made significant progress. In order to discuss better, the owners of Zizawin re-established a discussion group for this purpose. Of course, Ling Feng was not included in this group. After all, it was a bit bad to discuss how to divide his materials in front of Ling Feng. With the unanimous consent of everyone, it was specially formed as a supervision committee. The main responsibility of the supervision group is to jointly supervise the use of materials and avoid corruption. Chapter 34. After everyone's joint recommendation, Lu Weiji became the chairman of the supervisory committee. Ling Yutong was the vice chairman. After all, he got the position because his son died, and no one objected to this. There were 5 other members, most of whom were active speakers in the group, including Xiao Pengfei from Building 26, Li Lin from Building 59, Lu Haiyang from Building 5, Wang Tianyi from Building 27, and Zhang Dashan from Building 55. After the establishment of the supervisory committee, the owners celebrated in the group. After all, as long as the supplies were in hand, each family would be able to get a lot of supplies. Everyone was ready to bleed Ling Feng, the fat sheep, and eat his meat. Lin Su also told Ling Feng the news as soon as possible. After hearing the news, Ling Feng found it very interesting. I didn't expect these people to be so good at making trouble and make it so formal. The next step is to fight the local tyrants and share the supplies. Ling Feng actually hoped that they would come and trouble him together so that he could solve the problem at once and not have to worry about it in the future. The 7th day of the apocalypse. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Ling Feng was still lying on the bed and snoring. The main reason was that he was too excited to practice swordsmanship yesterday. He practiced until 2 o'clock in the morning until he could no longer hold the sword. Then he stopped training. However, the effect was also very significant. Under 20 times the gravity, he could already dance with the sword at a normal speed. You can imagine how terrifying his sword's speed would be under normal gravity. Ring, ring, ring. A burst of rapid alarms came. Ling Feng, who was sleeping, was awakened directly. He walked to the window and looked at the location of the first floor door. There were several people standing by the door, and it was hard to tell their ages. Everyone was wrapped tightly, but he recognized Ling Yutong among them. Ling Feng lay down on the bed again, turned on the surveillance on his mobile phone to see what these people wanted to do, and listened to what they were talking about. A group of people stood at the door, stamping their feet constantly. Most of them were walking out of their homes for the first time. It was also the first time they felt the cold brought by the extremely cold weather outside. One of them asked the person standing in the middle, "Chairman Liu, knock on the door now." Lu Jiwei nodded majestically, with great style. He himself also enjoyed the satisfaction brought by this power. Since retiring, he has not felt this way for a long time. He did not expect that in the end of the world, he would be able to regain power, and it was the most important right to distribute materials. In the future, everyone in Zizawin will act according to his face. Thinking of this, he could not help but straighten his back again and raise his head high. It was Xiao Pengfei who knocked on the door. In order to perform well in front of the leader, he clenched his fist and smashed it directly at the door. Bang! Xiao Pengfei's face turned red instantly, and he covered his hand and began to dance on the spot. Damn! Why is this door so hard? He felt that his hand was about to break when he knocked on the door just now. What kind of door is this kid installing? It hurts me so much. What's going on? Lu Jiwei was a little angry when he saw Xiao Pengfei's funny look. I asked you to knock on the door, but you made so many fools of yourself. Are you really trying to make me unhappy? Chairman, this door is too hard. I hurt you just now, Xiao Pengfei said with gritted teeth. Lying on the bed and watching all this, Ling Feng laughed so hard that tears came out. He rolled on the bed happily. This door of his own is made of the hardest material in the world, and the inside of the door is solid. You dare to hit it so hard. You are lucky that your bones were not broken. Lu Jiwei outside the door looked at Xiao Pengfei speechlessly, thinking that he was a waste who couldn't do such a small thing. Change someone else? Let me do it. Li Lin, who was standing aside, volunteered to walk out of the crowd. With the previous experience, he learned his lesson this time. He didn't dare to use force and only used 50% of his strength. The door made a low sound. Ling Feng ignored them and left them for half an hour. He went downstairs and took out 3 boxes of quick-heating soup dumplings from the space. These dumplings were semi-finished products. Just put them in the steamer and heat them for about 10 minutes before eating. Ling Feng put the dumplings in the steamer and used the induction cooker to heat them. Then he simply made a cup of soy milk and boiled 2 eggs. At present, he is probably the only one in the entire Zizawin community who can use high-power electrical appliances. He uses a generator to supply power and can use high power at will. Other owners are miserable. After the end of the world, there are huge problems with power supply, and power outages often occur, and the power has become very small. The current power can only charge the mobile phone, and nothing else can be done. It is estimated that there will be power outages soon, and the network will have problems after a while. After all, these devices need regular maintenance. In the current extremely cold weather, many people are trapped at home and can't even eat, so how can they have time to go to work? In some communities, the snow has reached 3 or 4 meters high. Because Zizawin is close to the sea and there are strong winds, the snow is only 30 centimeters. After more than 10 minutes, the buns have been heated. Ling Feng brought the buns to the dining table and prepared to eat. Looking at the steaming soup dumplings, Ling Feng's appetite was aroused. He picked up a bun and took a bite, and the soup splashed instantly. The beef in the soup is very rich, constantly stimulating his taste buds. The meat is delicious, the buns are thin and soft, and it is very enjoyable to eat. Ling Feng ate a bun in one bite, and then Ling Feng ate the buns one by one. Just as he was enjoying this warm breakfast, several people knocking on the door outside the villa saw Ling Feng eating. Ling Feng's restaurant and the main door are in the same direction, and the dining table is placed in front of a large French window, so people outside the window can see the scene in the restaurant clearly. At this time, several people in the villa yard swallowed their saliva when they saw Ling Feng eating soup dumplings. Seeing Ling Feng wearing thin pajamas and sitting on a chair with a comfortable look, everyone felt that it was simply heaven inside. Not only is there a warm room, but there is also delicious food. Everyone stared at the delicious food on the table. Lu Jue almost bit off his tongue when he saw the soup dumplings on the table, but he still pretended to be calm. After all, he was a leader and could not lose his composure. He walked to the window and looked at Ling Feng with a very majestic look. "Xiao Ling, open the door." But Ling Feng ignored him, still eating buns, and speeded up. "It's not that I don't want to talk to him. It's mainly because the soundproofing effect of the glass is too good, and I can't hear what he is saying at all." Everyone watched Ling Feng quickly finish 3 baskets of steamed buns. Ling Feng felt unsatisfied and pretended to get up to get something from the kitchen, but he actually took out a big, steaming pork elbow from the space. Chapter 35. Eating pork elbows early in the morning. This is unique. Who told me there were spectators next to me? It tasted especially delicious. Everyone outside the window looked at it eagerly, and some of them started to slap the window hard with anger. Their expressions were ferocious, and their eyes were red. This scene was similar to the zombie attack scene in the movie. Seeing these little cuties shouting hard outside the window, Ling Feng ate more deliciously. But this pork elbow was indeed a bit greasy, and I couldn't eat it halfway. "Black Panther!" he shouted, and Black Panther rushed to him at a high speed, staring at the big pork elbow in his hand eagerly. And his saliva was about to flow out. Ling Feng smiled and put the pork elbow in his hand to the mouth of Black Panther to improve its food. Black Panther was a little unbelievable and was stunned for a moment. "Is it the new year? Eat it!" The Black Panther then opened his mouth, bit the elbow, ran to his nest, and began to eat it. The people outside the window saw Ling Feng feeding the half-eaten elbow directly to the dog, and they immediately lost their composure. They slapped the window harder and kept muttering. They hated Ling Feng for having so much food. They also hated themselves for not being the dog in the house. Lu Jue's face was livid at this time, looking at the few people on his side who were not doing well, and he almost cursed these trash. At the same time, he hated Ling Feng more in his heart. In his opinion, Ling Feng feeding the food to the dog was a naked insult. Isn't this a slap in his face? Today he must make him look good. The supplies in Ling Feng's hand can only be his. He took out his mobile phone and called Ling Feng. Ling Feng saw the caller ID on the mobile phone. It was a strange phone. Ling Feng picked up the phone and answered. "Who is it?" Ling Feng opened the door quickly. Lu Jiwei's majestic voice sounded, with an unquestionable tone. Ling Feng was very upset by this tone. "You're just pretending. Who the hell are you? Why are you pretending to be so arrogant? Speak to me properly." Lu Jiwei suppressed his anger. For so many years, who dared to talk to him like this? But now is not the time to turn against him. "I'm Lu Jiwei. Open the door." Ling Feng looked at Lu Jiwei outside the window and said in surprise. "Open the door? Why should I open the door for you? Don't play dumb. Of course I open the door and take out the supplies. You must pay compensation for killing someone. Didn't you agree to the conditions?" Ling Feng suddenly realized. "Oh, you were talking about this. I was just joking with you. And you took it seriously? Go back quickly. It's very cold outside." Lu Jiwei's face turned black on the spot. "It seems he is playing a trick on me." Ling Feng, "If we report your deliberate murder to the authorities, do you know what the consequences will be?" Hearing this, Ling Feng immediately laughed. "Officials? You can find them first. What time is it? And you are still threatening him with the authorities. Do you really think he's a 3-year-old child? What consequences? I'm so scared. You old bald man. Get out of here." Ling Feng emphasized the last word, and the people around Lu Jiwei could hear it clearly. Lu Jiwei couldn't bear it anymore. He was insulted and abused again and again, and he dared to talk about his own defects. "I have hair on my head, but not much." "Ling Feng, I warn you to open the door obediently. We can let this matter go, otherwise you will bear the consequences." Ling Feng wished that this group of people would come to trouble him. "It was you who took the initiative to cause trouble. Don't be ruthless. Get out of here." Ling Feng hung up the phone directly, got up, and went back to the 3rd floor to play games. Lu Jiwei's face was no longer calm when he first came, and his whole face was covered with haze. Ling Feng's words today made him lose his dignity and left a bad impression in the eyes of the group of people below. "Chairman, Ling Feng is too arrogant. He doesn't take us seriously at all. Isn't this a clear provocation to us?" Ling Yutong began to exaggerate when he saw this situation, and then winked at Li Lin. "Yes, we can't just let it go. Isn't he slapping you in the face?" Li Lin also began to fan the flames and stimulate Lu Jiwei. Go back first, let's discuss the next plan. After saying this, Lu Jiwei turned around and walked out, and everyone followed him one by one. The 7 members of the supervisory committee all gathered in Lu Jiwei's villa. There are few people in his family, only him and his young wife in her 20s, so it is more convenient to hold a meeting. Chairman, what should we do next? Wang Tianyi of the supervisory committee just sat down, then he started asking questions. Ling Feng is stubborn and you can't reason with him. I suggest taking tough measures and controlling him with violence. Lu Jiwei expressed his opinion with a fierce look in his eyes. Everyone should mobilize other owners in the group now and call all those young men to form a guard team. Ling Feng, a black sheep, must be eliminated first. After Lu Jiwei finished speaking, he took out his mobile phone and started to post group messages in the second group of Zizuan. Dear family members, due to the influence of extreme weather, the official can no longer be contacted. We in Zizuan must unite and help each other. In view of the lessons of Ling Feng's murder, I suggest that our Zizuan owners spontaneously form a guard team to protect the lives and property of our people in Zizuan. Each family should send one person to join the guard team. If there is no man aged 18 to 50 in the family, you don't have to participate. Whether it is internal harm or external invasion, we can protect ourselves with the guard team. After this information was released, members of the supervisory committee also began to echo in the group and constantly encouraged other members to join. However, the effect was not ideal. Not many people paid attention to them. After all, they were all upper-class people. Now they were not happy to be security guards. Chairman, the owners did not respond much. Ling Yutong said with a worried face. Lu Jiwei had a calm expression. It's okay, I have a way, he said confidently. Then she took her phone and started to send voice messages in the group. Family members, a lot of people have just found me privately and joined our guard team, but there are still a few people who haven't come to me. I think this group of people is not united enough. I hope everyone can sign up actively. If there are those who don't join, we will not protect your personal safety. We will only protect the lives of the guard team and their families. If there is food in the future, it will be given priority to the members of the guard team. After Lu Jiwei sent this message, the group really became lively, and people continued to sign up. Soon, more than 50 people signed up, and the number is still increasing. Chapter 36. Chairman, this is a great move. Li Lin was flattering Lu Jiwei on the side. Lu Jiwei was very pleased to hear this. I've been a leader for decades. I'm not good at other things, but I have a good grasp of human nature. It is easy to deal with these small things. As long as I have someone in my hand, let's see what kind of waves Ling Feng can make. I will take dozens of people to smash his house directly, and then make him kneel in front of me and sing Conquer. Just when he was still complacent, he didn't know that his plans had already been known by Ling Feng. As for the source of the information, of course, it was provided by Lin Su. Ling Feng sneered at Lu Jiwei's next move. Not to mention dozens of people. Even if 10,000 people came, it would not cause any harm to his villa. These days, Ling Feng warned Wang Long to stay at home and don't come out because he was not in the owner group, so he knew nothing about what was going on in the group. But Ling Feng still asked him to exercise every day and restore his physical fitness to the peak as soon as possible. Ling Feng checked every door and window of the villa to ensure that they were all closed. At the same time, he tested the equipment in the villa to check the working status in order to prepare for the next battle. After doing all this, he took out a slingshot from the space. After the upgrade, the power of this slingshot is also very powerful. When it is fully pulled, the marbles can penetrate a 3mm steel plate. This power is definitely enough to make this group of people drink a pot, but Ling Feng feels that the power of this ordinary steel ball is still not enough. Then he took out a bottle of insecticide from the space, put on a gas mask, and then sprayed the steel ball with insecticide. At that time, the steel ball covered with insecticide will cause greater destructive power after entering the human body, who can resist physics and magic. At the same time, the members of Lu Jiwei's guard team were basically determined. Except for 1 or 2 individual owners who refused to participate, the others sent one person to participate. Now the members of the entire guard team have reached 65 people. Lu Jiwei was quite satisfied with the number of people. Seeing that the preparations were almost done, he prepared to launch the first attack on Ling Feng. He took out his mobile phone and began to issue instructions in the group. Dear family members, there is now an unstable factor in our Zizuan family, that is Ling Feng from Building 5. This person is extremely dangerous. Not only did he brutally kill his cousin, but he also has a bad temper and may hurt people again at any time. In order to maintain the unity and stability of our community, I decided to bring people to subdue this criminal. Also, Ling Feng's home has a large amount of supplies. Just this morning we saw him feed the elbows that he couldn't finish eating to the dog. He claimed that he would not take out the food to share with others even if he was feeding the dog. This behavior is extremely selfish. This time, I will take 20 members of the escort team to Ling Feng's home to take him down, and the supplies obtained will also be distributed to everyone. As soon as this was said, the owners in the group praised Lu Jiwei. Tu Zhangyang. Fortunately, we have Chairman Lu in our community. Chairman Lu loves us so much. 25 Li Yingying. Great, it would be great if we could get some food. 32 He Li Wei. This kind of bad apple should be eradicated as soon as possible. I'll be the first to sign up. 6 Hu Jiqiang, +1. 75 Yang Hui Jun, +1. The group responded to Lu Jiwei's call and took out weapons from their homes and gathered at Lu Jiwei's villa. The things they had in their hands were also varied. Some had baseball bats, some had golf clubs, some had kitchen knives, some had dismantled the chairs at home and took the chair legs, some had steel pipes. Lu Jiwei looked at the 20 people who had already arrived, and his confidence increased greatly. At a command, several people from the supervision committee led 20 members of the escort team to walk towards Ling Feng's villa. I want to get you drunk with a glass of tuna, so that you can love me a little more. Ling Feng, who was singing affectionately in the KTV room, was interrupted by a burst of urgent alarms. In order to deal with external attacks in the first place, he installed alarms in every room. He walked to the window and saw dozens of people standing outside his villa, each holding a weapon, and it was obvious that they were here with bad intentions. Ling Feng opened the window and shouted to the people below, Lu Jiwei, what do you want to do here? Lu Jiwei stood behind the crowd, with 2 people protecting him in front. It can be seen that he attaches great importance to his safety. He heard that Ling Feng had a bow, an arrow in his hand. If he was hit by an arrow, he would be disabled if not dead. Ling Feng, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the supplies. Otherwise, we will force the door open. Lu Jiwei looked up at Ling Feng. He felt uncomfortable with the way he looked up at others. Hand over your mother's supplies. I have plenty of supplies here. If you have the guts, come in and get them. Stupid. Hepa. After saying that, he spat directly at Lu Jiwei below. Lu Jiwei was so angry that he gave the order to start breaking the door. The man standing in the front waved a steel pipe and smashed it hard against the door. Bang! The door made a low sound, and at the same time, the huge rebound force made his arm numb, and the steel pipe in his hand almost fell out of his hand. Fuck! Why is this door so hard? Seeing this, the others collectively took their weapons and smashed the door. As expected, all their arms were numb and painful. On the other hand, the door was still intact, without even a scratch. Everyone present was shocked by the hardness of the door. They had never seen such a hard door. Seeing that it had no effect, one of them turned his attention to his French window. He shouted, "Smash his window!" A group of people began to smash his window, but it was in vain. The window was not damaged at all. Ling Feng stood on the 3rd floor and watched a group of people attack the glass of his house fiercely, but it was useless, which made him laugh. Let's not talk about whether it can be broken. Even if they broke it, he installed 3 layers of this kind of glass, and they couldn't break it even if they smashed it for 10 years. Lu Jiwei saw that there was no way to break the window and the door, so he asked someone to find a few large bedboards, and more than a dozen people lifted the bedboards and hit the door. It was a bit similar to the ancient siege method. More than a dozen people hit it for more than 10 minutes, and their faces were red with fatigue, but the door was still motionless. Lu Jiwei couldn't help cursing in his heart. What a weirdo, who would install such a strong door and window at home. A group of people looked at the door and were helpless, and each of them was a little frustrated. Ling Feng looked at the crowd below, took out a slingshot from the space, and his specially processed steel balls. Next, it's my turn. Chapter 37. The reason why I used a slingshot instead of a gun or a compound bow is actually very simple. Boring. Ling Feng was really bored. He stayed at home alone, even though there were all kinds of entertainment facilities, but Ling Feng still felt a little bored. If I used a gun or a compound bow, these people could be eliminated in a short time. It wouldn't be the case with a slingshot. Ling Feng wanted to make sure that they would not die or get better. In this way, these people can play with me all the time. Unless I get tired of playing one day, I will kill them all. Anyway, these people provoke me first. Looking at the people below who started to bang on the door after a break, Ling Feng prepared to start his shooting game. He took out a marble and put it on the slingshot. Pop! The marble was quickly shot out and hit the right arm of one of the red-clothed men. The main reason was that this man's clothes were too recognizable, and he became the first unlucky guy. Ouch! The weapon in the red-clothed man's hand fell instantly, and then he began to scream loudly. The moment the marble entered the body, the arm just felt a little numb, and then began to feel severe pain. Ah! The big man in red began to hold his right hand and screamed. The others were startled by the sudden scream and looked at him. Blood began to flow out of his hand, and then the blood began to freeze quickly. The big man in red felt that his entire arm was losing consciousness quickly. It was a slingshot. He shot with a slingshot. Li Lin pointed at Ling Feng on the 3rd floor and shouted loudly, and everyone looked towards the 3rd floor. Ling Feng was looking at them with a smile on his face. But the next moment, the slingshot in his hand continued to shoot. When everyone reacted, another person was shot. The person who was shot immediately began to scream. The crowd began to panic and began to look for shelter one by one. But after searching for a long time, they couldn't find a place to cover their whole body. In less than 10 seconds, 6 more people were shot, and all of them were shot in the right arm. This was done intentionally by Ling Feng, because the right arm is the most frequently used arm of a person, and it is also the most important force point for NT. Once there is a problem with the right arm, the person is basically half useless. At this time, Lu Jiwei, who was surrounded by the crowd, did not expect this situation to happen. Seeing that the 8 people on his side were wailing with their right arms, they obviously had no fighting power. He could only rage helplessly at Ling Feng above. Ling Feng, how can you be so cruel? We just want to take the supplies, but you killed us. Ling Feng sneered at Lu Jiwei below with a face full of sarcasm. You forcibly destroyed the door of my house, and you dare to blame me. Are you crazy? As he said, the slingshot in his hand was about to take action. Seeing this, the members of the guard team below dared not stay here and quickly fled outside. Even the people from the supervisory committee were scared and ran away. Only 4 people, including Lu Jiwei and Ling Yutong, were left in the yard. Looking at the fleeing people, Lu Jiwei was so angry that he yelled, "Damn it, come back here. All of you, do you still want supplies?" At this time, even if he shouted at the top of his throat, no one would pay attention to him. These people were scared. How could they dare to listen to him? In addition, these people were ordinary people and had never seen such a scene, so they ran away without looking back. Ling Feng, you wait for me. This matter is not over yet. Lu Jiwei looked at Ling Feng above and said harsh words directly. But Ling Feng didn't indulge him and gave him a marble. The marble went straight through his ear, and a bloody hole appeared in his ear instantly. Ah! Lu Jiwei grimaced in pain. He had never suffered such pain in his high position, and panic began to appear in his eyes. He covered his ears and ran out, and never dared to say harsh words again. Seeing the boss running away, the others also hurriedly followed him out of the yard. Perhaps because he was too scared, Lu Jiwei didn't pay attention to the slippery ground under his feet while running, and fell to the ground in a dog-chewing mud posture. Seeing this, Ling Yutong, who was running beside him, hurried forward and wanted to reach out to help him. As soon as he stretched out his hand, he heard a sound of breaking wind, and a steel ball pierced through his palm and hit the ground in front. However, before he could react, another steel ball hit his arm. Pain came from 2 places in his body. Ling Yutong was scared by Ling Feng's attack and ran all the way. As for Lu Jiwei, who fell to the ground, whoever wants to help him can help him. Lu Jiwei, who fell to the ground, didn't care about the pain of the fall and ran to the back. Looking at Lu Jiwei's embarrassed escape, it seems Ling Feng couldn't help laughing. He continued to shoot more than a dozen steel balls at Lu Jiwei with a slingshot, and all avoided the vital parts of the body. He was hit and screamed. Looking at the villa that had quieted down again, Ling Feng felt that this counterattack was a bit too fast. In less than a minute, the group of guards began to flee with their heads in their arms. Ah, a bunch of rabble, so boring. He closed the window with a sense of unsatisfaction and went to the basement to continue training his swordsmanship. Compared with Ling Feng's leisure, Lu Jiwei's villa was much more lively. A group of people gathered in the living room of the villa and wailed constantly. The injured person covered his right arm with a ferocious expression. The position of the wound began to turn black, mainly because Ling Feng's steel balls were all stained with insecticide, causing their wounds to become infected. Lu Jiwei was even worse. There were more than a dozen wounds on his body. He lay on the sofa groaning and looked very weak. He was old, and he was too frightened and injured. He almost lost half his life after running all the way. One of the guards was a doctor, and he offered to treat everyone's wounds. He brought a scalpel and alcohol gauze from his home and walked to Lu Jiwei. "Chairman, I'll help you take out the steel ball inside first. It may be a little painful. Please bear with it." Lu Jiwei nodded weakly. The doctor used scissors to cut open the clothes around the wound, and his face suddenly became ugly when he saw the wound. The wound position had necrosis due to the low temperature. It is not known what the internal situation is. Under the current medical conditions, the only way is to cut off the necrotic flesh. But there is no anesthetic now, so we can only bear it. Ah! A pig-killing sound came out of Lu Jiwei's mouth. Because there was no anesthetic, the severe pain stimulated his nerves. Although the cold weather paralyzed his limbs, this piercing pain was still not something that ordinary people could bear. The injured people nearby looked at Lu Jiwei's disgusting appearance. Their faces turned pale, and they were trembling with fear when they thought that they would be treated in the same way later. However, Lu Jiwei was the one who felt the most uncomfortable at this time. Others were hit by 1 bullet, but he was hit by more than 10 bullets. After taking out 5 marbles in a row, Lu Jiwei fainted from the pain. Then he woke up again due to the intense pain, and this happened 3 times. When the last marble was taken out, Lu Jiwei was lying limply on the sofa. At this time, he had more than a dozen wounds all over his body, and all the bad flesh had been cut off. It was very scary and shocking to look at. Chapter 38. After treating Lu Jiwei's wound, the doctor began to rescue Ling Yutong and other members. The whole villa was filled with screams like slaughtering pigs again. After several hours of surgery, everyone was finally bandaged. Although they were cured, the doctor also told them a cruel fact. Your right hand is basically useless. Even if you recover in the future, you can't lift heavy objects. As soon as this sentence was spoken, the whole room quickly fell into silence. The atmosphere was a bit heavy. Damn, it's all this old bastard's fault. One of the team members suddenly cursed at Lu Jiwei. Yeah, if it weren't for the damn guard team, we wouldn't have become like this. He just used us as guns, this old thing. I think this shitty guard team should be disbanded. The members of the guard team talked to Lu Jiwei one by one and delivered a national treasure. These people became more and more excited as they talked, and they were ready to fight if they disagreed. Lu Jiwei was so scared that he didn't dare to open his eyes, even though he had woken up, so he could only pretend to sleep. Everyone listen to me. Ling Yutong suddenly stood up and shouted, and the originally noisy crowd began to quiet down. Dear neighbors, we failed today because we were not prepared enough, but we can't give up. Don't give up and go up to get beaten. Ling Feng's house is built like a turtle shell. How can we beat him? That's right. Next time you take the lead and rush up. The crowd that had just quieted down began to curse Ling Yutong again. As the vice chairman of the supervisory committee, he also had an unshirkable responsibility for this action. Everyone, if we don't beat Ling Feng's family, will we still have a source of food? Are we going to starve to death? Ling Yutong's words really worked, and the people who were arguing constantly began to bow their heads and think, yes, where's the food in their hands now? If this goes on, everyone will slowly starve to death. Seeing that his words had worked, Ling Yutong continued. Our villa area was not submerged by snow due to its geographical location. Look at the plains at the foot of the mountain in our villa area. The snow has reached 5 or 6 meters. It is basically impossible to find food in this situation. Then what should we do next? Ling Feng's defense is too strong, and we can't attack at all, Xiao Pengfei said helplessly. Ling Yutong smiled mysteriously when he heard this. Since we can't get into the windows and doors, what about his walls? Except for the main structure of concrete, the walls of our villa are mostly hollow bricks, which are not so strong. As long as we use tools to demolish it, his defense will be useless. Others also thought it made sense after hearing what he said. Since your doors and windows are strong, we won't touch him. It's okay to demolish your walls. But he has a slingshot in his hand, which we can't stop at all. One of the injured team members questioned that his hands are still in pain, and he can't use his hands. Thinking about it now, he still has lingering fears. We can use the bedboard as a shield. Although his slingshot is powerful, it can't penetrate the bedboard. The first time we were not well prepared. Next time we will send more people over, and we will definitely be able to take down Ling Feng. Ling Yutong's words successfully brought the nearly collapsed guard team together again, and he became the new chairman of the supervisory committee. As for Lu Jiwei, no one cares about his life or death, even if he lies on the sofa. At this time, Lu Jiwei, who was lying on the sofa, was so angry in his heart. Not only was he seriously injured, but his position as the chairman of the supervisory committee was also taken away by someone. I've been busy for so long and didn't even get a penny. It's a huge loss. I began to slowly resent Ling Yutong in my heart. On the other hand, Ling Yutong's current mood is very proud. Lu Jiwei is out, and he finally got the real power. The next step is to act again. This time, I will definitely succeed. Ling Feng must die. He also silently cheered himself up in his heart, and he must avenge his son. Ling Feng, who had just finished extreme training, took a hot bath and just lay down on the bed when he received a call from Wang Long. Fengzi, how are you doing today? Do you want me to help you? When Lu Jiwei brought people to sabotage today, Wang Long saw it clearly on the 3rd floor. He originally wanted to go out and beat these people, but when he thought of Ling Feng's special instructions not to go out, he resisted going out. It's okay. A group of rabble can't make any waves, don't worry. Just stay at home. The two chatted a few more words about the escort team, and Wang Long was so angry that he wanted to come over to help. He fought against the bandits together. But he refused. Although today's attack was repelled, this group of people will definitely come back. People can do anything when they are hungry. Now it is not the time to run out of ammunition and food. It is estimated that after a week, the whole Zizouan will be completely in chaos. That time is the most dangerous time, but these have nothing to do with Ling Feng. He just wants to live a peaceful life in the villa. Of course, it would be better if he could find a trustworthy woman. At present, it seems that Lin Su meets his requirements in all aspects, but he still needs to observe this woman more. He doesn't want his pillow to have any bad thoughts about him. As a second-generation man, he has become very cautious about trust. Just when he was considering whether to let Lin Su enter his villa, he received a picture sent by Lin Su. In the photo, a group of people passed by her door in a mighty manner. Some of them were holding tools such as hammers and engineer shovels, and some were carrying bedboards. However, the direction in which this group of people was heading was not the direction of Ling Feng's villa. Lin Su sent him a message to let him be careful. This group of people were preparing to take action at night, and they would mobilize all their troops. Ling Feng was very satisfied with Lin Su as an insider. He would basically get the news in advance every time the escort team took action. This also made him more calm in dealing with it. After getting the news, Ling Feng also began to prepare. From the photo just now, they were going to use the bedboard to block their slingshots in this attack. This trick must be said to be really good. His slingshot is indeed not easy to cause damage. But he didn't have to use a slingshot. He took out a compound bow from the space, simply debugged it, and took out 100 arrows. These things were enough to deal with this group of people. But once the compound bow is used, someone will definitely die this time. But this is also their own fault. Since they are unkind, don't blame themselves for being unjust. Chapter 39. Early morning of the 8th day of the apocalypse. Ling Feng looked at the heavy snow outside the window, which kept hitting the window under the strong wind, making a whirring sound. The temperature outside began to drop further, reaching a terrifying -70 degrees. For those who lack food and warm materials, it is tantamount to adding insult to injury. More people will freeze to death or starve to death in the future. In front of nature, human beings are really too small. Ling Feng lamented the horror of the apocalypse. Even today, with highly developed technology, it is still vulnerable to the apocalypse. Fortunately, he was well prepared. No matter how bad the environment outside was, he could face it calmly. He lit a cigarette and waited for the danger to come. Only the faint light of the cigarette could be seen in the dark room. Halfway through the cigarette in his hand, the alarm in the room began to make a shrill sound. Here they come. Ling Feng walked to the window and looked down. A team of more than 50 people gathered downstairs. Compared with the last time, it was obvious that they were more prepared this time. These people held up the bedboard and surrounded the top and sides tightly, so that the specific situation inside could not be seen clearly. From the surveillance, these people did not attack their own door, but began to destroy the outer wall of the villa. This surprised Ling Feng a little. These people are quite smart. They know how to destroy the wall. These people took axes and hammers to knock on the wall, and soon a hole began to appear on the wall. Seeing that it was effective, the guards worked harder, imagining that there was endless food and a warm house inside, and unconsciously accelerated their movements. However, Ling Feng did not care at all. He had already considered this when he built the house. All the walls in the villa were made of 30-centimeter titanium alloy steel plates, which could withstand nuclear bombs. With the weapons in their hands, they could not dig it even if they were given 10,000 years. However, looking at the excited look of this group of people, Ling Feng was embarrassed to interrupt them. In the crowd, Ling Yutong went into battle with an injury, standing behind with a bandage to supervise, and it must be said that he was very dedicated. As the new chairman of the supervision committee, Ling Yutong led by example and won the unanimous support of the team members. Looking at the wall that was about to be dug through, Ling Yutong became more and more excited. We are getting closer and closer to success. Dig it through. Dig it through, someone said, and cheers broke out in the crowd, and everyone's face was filled with happy smiles. Ling Yutong was also very happy when he heard it, and hurriedly ordered the next group of team members to replace the previous team members to continue digging. In order to ensure the speed of digging the wall, Ling Yutong adopted a rotation method, with 6 people digging each time, and a rotation every 5 minutes. It must be said that this method is very efficient. In less than 40 minutes, the outer wall was dug out. Just when Ling Yutong was extremely satisfied with his plan, there was another exclamation from the crowd. Fuck, what's so hard about this? It's the same here, harder than steel. Ling Yutong quickly squeezed through the crowd and went forward to check, and the people next to him quickly took out a flashlight to illuminate him. I saw that there was a layer of something similar to a steel plate inside the outer wall of the villa. It was very hard. When I hit it with a hammer, there was no trace left. Ling Yutong was a little confused for a while. He had worked hard for most of the day and only dug the first layer. Ling Feng, this little bastard, actually built the house so solid. Did he know that there would be such a day? Considering that he had stored so many supplies in advance, he was more certain of his guess. When he thought of this, his hatred for Ling Feng became stronger. This little bastard knew that the extremely cold weather would come, but he didn't know to tell them, the owners, in advance, and only cared about his own safety. It's so hateful. I was shot. Just when he was thinking about how to solve the problem in front of him, someone in the escort team exclaimed, Just as the voice sounded, another person was shot by an arrow, and everyone hurriedly looked at the 2 injured people. One of them had an arrow stuck in his chest, and blood was constantly pouring out of the wound, and the other was directly pierced through the neck. Ling Yutong couldn't understand why he was shot with an arrow even though there was a bed board to block it. What kind of arrow could penetrate the thick wooden board? However, Ling Feng obviously didn't give him time to think because the bows and arrows were constantly shooting at them at this time. The screams in the crowd came one after another, and someone was injured almost every second. The injured parts of these people were different. Some were shot in the thigh, some in the stomach, and some in the heart. No matter what, being hit by an arrow in any position is very fatal in the current -70-degree environment. At this time, Ling Feng on the 3rd floor launched an attack with an expressionless face. He attacked very quickly and almost did not need to aim. He fired one after another at the crowd below. Because there were bedboards to block the crowd, he could not see the crowd and directly attacked indiscriminately. The arrows shot by the upgraded compound bow were powerful. These bedboards were no different from paper in front of it. The members of the guard team suffered heavy casualties, and more than half of them were killed or wounded in less than half a minute. The guards who were frightened by the killing began to throw away their weapons and bedboards and flee, even ignoring the wounded on the ground. Ling Feng did not stop at this for the fleeing group of people and continued his killing. The guards without the protection of the bedboards became lambs to be slaughtered. The compound bow continued to harvest lives, and each arrow could take away a life. Seeing their teammates falling down, the group ran faster, desperately fleeing. As the leader of the group, Ling Yutong fell behind the team because of his hand injury and his old age. Seeing the people falling down around him, Ling Yutong was so scared that his legs were weak, as if he saw the god of death waving at him. Fortunately, Ling Feng didn't seem to recognize him. Although he fell behind, he was unexpectedly not hit by an arrow. Seeing that there were only a few meters to the corner, as long as he ran to the corner, he would be safe, and the fear in his heart gradually began to dissipate. 5 meters left. Almost there. It will be safe soon. 4 meters. 3 meters. 2 meters. Just when he thought he was going to be safe, he felt a sharp pain in his calf, and then his body fell forward uncontrollably. He looked down and saw that a black arrow had pierced his body from his calf. The blood that flowed out had slowly frozen, and his calf began to feel numb. At this time, he didn't care about the wound on his leg. He used his hands and feet to run towards the corner in front. His will to survive made him burst out with great strength. He didn't care about the wound on his hand being broken open again. Chapter 40. Looking at Ling Yutong, who was constantly crawling forward, he didn't shoot an arrow. Killing him now would be too easy for him. Even if he died, he had to suffer more torture before dying. Without the constraints of the law and the authorities, killing him would be as easy as crushing an ant. Looking at the ground, there were more than 20 corpses lying on the ground, and more than a dozen people were lying on the ground and wailing because they couldn't walk because of leg injuries. If no one helped them, they would be frozen to death in less than half an hour. Ling Feng had no mercy on these people. The moment they stepped into the yard of the villa, they were mortal enemies with him. If his house was occupied by this group of people, would these people let him go? I'm afraid he would only die more miserably. Ling Feng ignored these people and closed the window to eat a midnight snack and go to bed. The next morning, Ling Feng woke up refreshed and picked up his phone to see that the WeChat owner group had 99 plus messages. He opened the owner group and looked through the chat records. Every record accused him of murder. 26 Tanjua. Damn Ling Feng. Why did you kill my husband? We just wanted something to eat. Do you have to kill him? 55 Zhang Dashin. You killed 43 of us. You will be punished. 27 Lingy. We are all family. You killed my brother. Now my dad has lost a leg and an arm because of you. You bastard. 70 Zhao Dayo. My son was also killed by him. This bastard will die without a burial place. You'd better stay in your bastard shell for the rest of your life. Ling Feng looked at the abuse in the group. He smiled coldly. He knew to come out and complain after suffering a loss. You idiots are quite interesting. You are fucking justified for being killed for robbing supplies. I tell you, I let a few of you run away this time. You won't be so lucky next time. I have plenty of supplies, but I won't give you a hair. I'll piss you off to death. Ling Feng directly responded in the group, not accommodating them at all. After saying that, he took a photo of his breakfast today and sent it to the group. The breakfast is quite rich. Steamed buns, fried dough sticks, rice noodles, egg pancakes, sandwiches, rujiamo, milk, spicy soup, and some high-end fruits. It is nutritionally balanced. Even in the end times, you have to eat exquisitely. After sending the photo, he also added text. My appetite is not very good today, so I eat a little simpler. I will share my daily diet with you every day in the future. My family members remember to like me. He also sent a naughty emoticon package. As soon as this text was posted, some people in the group immediately scolded him sourly. How come you are not full to death after eating so much? Some people are like this. They would rather throw it away than share it. Such people have bad hearts, and God will not let such people go to heaven. I curse that the food in your house is poisonous. I wish you a quick death from poisoning. In addition to some vicious words, some people in the group began to flatter him. 71 Yuan Tianhu. Brother Ling, I have never participated in actions against you. I don't want your food. Give me your leftovers. Just feed them to the dog, okay? 42 Yang Zihan. Brother Feng. Give me a little food. Let me do anything, please. 48 Zhao Na. Can I also give me a chance? She also posted a sexy artistic photo. Ling Feng saw that several people in the group started to post their own photos, and he carefully read them several times with an appreciative attitude. I have to say that these people are still pretty, with good figures and bright headlights. However, he still doesn't like these people. He is not hungry enough to eat anything. In addition, he doesn't know these people. He dare not easily let them into his home. Compared with beauty, his life is more important. However, Lin Su did not come out to curry favor with him among this group of people. It seems that his vision is good. Lin Su is not the kind of person who sells her body casually. He didn't pay much attention to these people's flattery. He just regarded these people as his after-dinner entertainment. People kept adding him on WeChat in the WeChat address book. Ling Feng opened WeChat to check and found that they were all added through the owner group. Buy best-selling books online. Brother, can we meet? Brother, I have something to discuss with you. Hello, I am from our community and want to know your situation. Brother, we had dinner together before. Please approve it. I am Yang Zihan. Why did you delete me, brother? Looking at more than a dozen friend requests, Ling Feng ignored them and closed them, directly eating breakfast on the phone. Another week has passed quickly. It has been a full half-month since the end of the world. Ling Feng has lived a relatively peaceful life in these 7 days. He just eats and trains normally, plays games, and shares his daily diet with the owner group to stimulate this group of people. Every time he posts his photos, he will always attract a lot of flattery and curses. He doesn't take the curses to heart. Anyway, whoever feels uncomfortable knows it. In these 7 days, the group of guards has not come to trouble him again. It should be that they were scared by the last battle. In the last battle, Ling Feng directly killed more than 40 people, and the entire guard team was basically crippled. But Ling Feng thinks they will definitely not give up. especially Ling Yutang, will definitely make a comeback. After 15 days of the end of the world, basically every family's food has been consumed, and even those who have some food stored at home are now beginning to have food shortages. The situation will become more and more chaotic. Just this morning, people started sneaking downstairs to move away the team members who were shot by him. After a week, why are they moving the bodies now? Is it to bury them in peace? If they were to move the bodies of their family members, why did they wait until now? Isn't it a bit late? There's probably only one reason. When there is not enough food, these people will try every means to get food in order to survive. This group of people has set their sights on these corpses. The phenomenon of cannibalism has existed since ancient times. Huang Chao in the late Tang dynasty had to slaughter thousands of people every day as military rations because he did not have enough food for marching and fighting. Morality and humanity have long been annihilated in the face of hunger. This is the end of the world, a world of cannibalism. Ling Feng took out his mobile phone and prepared to send a message to Lin Su. He felt that the time was about right. After a week, the food in her hand was probably almost finished. During this period, Lin Su never mentioned the matter of supplies except for the first time she proposed to exchange supplies with me. She also revealed information to me many times in the previous operations. In general, it is still trustworthy.